So any idea, what do you think is reading? We all read. When we learn a language, we all read, whether it is Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Punjabi, Telugu, Tamil, whichever language. So I'm not able to see any responses in the chat box. Would you like to speak, anybody? Okay, so I'll share what I have. So I have a few blanks for you. There is a text here which talks about reading. So would you like me to read it? I'll read it aloud for you. What I want you to do is find the key words from this part that I'm reading to you. Find key words from here so that I can jot them down in the blobs provided over here. If you want, you can find the keywords from here. Okay, is the printed material not visible to you? I'll definitely read it out, read it aloud, but is this visible to you? I just want to make sure that it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. So I'll read it out to you. Reading is a process of constructing meaning by interacting with the text. As individuals read, they use their prior knowledge along with clues from the text to construct meaning. It is not only about decoding the symbols, but to gain knowledge by understanding the text. A language-rich environment is the foundation on which reading comprehension is based, and this is where we as teachers can help our students by providing the strategies and skills to create effective readers in our classroom. So I would want you to find out key words from this passage, which you think would be important when we talk about reading. Take 1 minute. Take 1 minute, read the text, and try to find out the keywords according to you for the reading. I'm sorry I have a sore throat today. So, okay, Komal Mathur says gain knowledge by understanding. Okay, so one other thing is one of the responses gain knowledge. Anything else? Create effective environment. Remember, we are talking about reading. We are finding keywords for reading. I'm not able to see your chat boxes. I'm just looking at the chats that are popping up on my screen since I'm sharing the screen. So, okay, somebody is joining the meeting. Constructing meaning. Komal Mathur again writes, okay. Decoding the symbols to gain knowledge. Thank you, Deepa. Any other? Any other response? I'm sorry, I just missed. There was a response over here. If somebody's mic is on, if you could mute your mic, please. Interacting with words. Thank you, Sumil sir. I'm sorry, I missed one response. Okay. Anything else that remains? Okay. This is what I could find. We have all that was there. So we have constructing meaning by interacting with the text, whichever text you have. We try and construct our own meanings with that. And then for constructing that meaning, we use our prior knowledge. With whatever knowledge we have, we use it to construct the meanings from the text that we have. And then we do that by decoding the symbols. There are a few symbols over there. For example, A is a symbol of sound A. In the same manner, B, the symbol that we have from the alphabet, is a sound for is a symbol for the sound B, and so on and so forth. So we decode the symbols to interact with the text and construct our meanings. And then we gain knowledge by understanding the text that we are reading. So somebody also mentioned, I remember, a language environment. This is what we can do, give our students, provide to our students, so that the foundation is laid for a good reading in our classrooms. And reading comprehension is based only on that. So, first of all, we have to provide a very good reading environment, a language rich environment. We have different ways of doing that. I'm not going into that right now because the session is not about that. But I'm sure most of you would know that, how to provide a language rich environment in our classrooms. And then we use strategies and skills to use that language environment. Now, these are some skills required for reading. I'll just read this out for you. Decoding is one, second is vocabulary, third is fluency, and then fourth, comprehension. When we tried, the first thing was decoding the symbols. So it is the first step in reading because we decode the symbols and relate them to some sound. So we have some alphabets coming together. You remember we start our um, language sessions with alphabets, and then from alphabets we move to two-letter words, three-letter words, four-letter words, and so on and so forth. So we are learning to decode the alphabets. And then comes vocabulary. It is related to our knowledge of the words. The more we read, the more we get explored, the more we get access to the language, the better our vocabulary is. So that's why it is important to have language-rich environment in our classrooms. The better the vocabulary, the better reader a student is, and the better knowledge of the language, and the better use of the language. And then comes fluency. Fluency is basically to do with accuracy and the expression. We also associate it with speed, but then speed and accuracy is what fluency is all about. You get to be fluent in a language once you know how to decode it well, you know a lot of vocabulary, and then you are able to use it. So when you decode it, you understand the meaning, and that's why your fluency comes. So fluency is a productive skill, and these are skills that we require for a good reading. And then comes comprehension. It is a basic skill which helps children learn sounds from the words and recognize sight words. Sight words, we'll just do sight words as well. And then when they move from one word to another word, it's easier for them. Okay, there is somebody, okay. It's easier for them to go about different parts of the text like character, setting, plot, and things like that. So how can we help our students do decoding part? We can have newspaper highlights with us, and then we can use newspaper for that, and then we can pick up a focus for the day, a theme for the day, whichever thing you want to talk about. For example, you are dealing with class 10 students and you want them to focus on the pandemic. Then the pandemic is your word for the day. The next day you want to talk about the farmers uh, movement that is going on. So the theme for the day would be farmers movement and things like that. But with that, you have to give them some words. For example, your students would be working on words like they, this, that, there, which are the words that they um, look at for a longer time, and then these become their sight words, which are there in their sight, and then they use it very often, and then they find those words wherever they can find them. Then next day you can have different words with a different focus. You can have different for example, the second example over here is word starting with W. Wednesday, watch, welfare, and so on. So you can have different themes for reading your newspaper. And then the vocabulary. Um, Vocabulary is a foundation skill, and it improves our reading comprehension because we know our words. So reading comprehension and vocabulary are two independent things, but they become dependent on each other, as in, the more you read, the better your vocabulary is. So, the previous knowledge of the student has to be shared over here so that you can build upon that. You have one building block, and then you keep on adding, and adding to each other. So, that's how it works. When you do vocabulary practice in the classrooms, please try and use vocabulary in context. By context, would you like to share what do you mean by context? When I say vocabulary in context, what do I mean by that? You all must be doing stories in the classroom. Okay, there are some words in the text which are not known to your students, which are new for your students, and they don't know this meaning. So there's an example over here from class 9. Chapter is The Lost Child. And now this is a sentence over here. I want that toy, he pleaded. His father looked at him red-eyed in his familiar tyrant's way. Now, tyrant could be a new word for your students. Now, when we try and find out the meaning of this word, we look around the word, something which has come near the word, which leads to the meaning of the word. So the phrase is child pleaded, looked at him red-eyed. So you can tell children that the child is requesting, asking, and then the father is looking at him and the eyes are red. So the students may be able to figure out the meaning. So this is what you do with new words, trying to guess the meaning from the position of the words. So fluency involves three things: accuracy, automaticity, and prosody. Now, these are three components of fluency. So accuracy, as you would know, using the words correctly. Automaticity is you know the words and you have been using them so frequently that the words come automatically to you. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to decode it, you don't have to work about them, so the words come automatically to you. And the third component of fluency is prosody, when the reader uh, takes into account the intonation, phrasing, expression while reading out. So you have different expressions coming on when you read with your speech, not just your facial expression, but the speech as well. For fluency, you have to punctuate your sentences. You have to give pauses, which are meaningful pauses, and then raise your voice, lower your voice, change the intonation when you read. So punctuation is very important, and I'm sure your students would be able to know that. You just need to practice it once again with your students. Try and use punctuation marks and try and practice the punctuation marks that your students already know. I'm just going a little fast. If I'm fast, please let me know so that um, I know, what my pace is. Is it okay with you? Is my pace okay? My speed okay with you? Okay,
Yes,
thank you,
ma'am.
Sanat. As it is, working on a laptop or a digital mode is like you're talking to yourself, and if you don't get a response, it's like I'm talking to myself only. So I would appreciate if you could, interact, respond, write. So we're talking about reading comprehension now. So there are some comprehension skills that you could use with your students. One would be summarizing. When you read a text, when you read some lines, you just need to give the meaning of the whatever you've read in shorter form. And then the second part is sequencing. The students must learn how to sequence what came first, what came next, what happened after that, what happened after that. So, how did the string of events go? So, one after the other. And then there is inference. When you read, you've understood, you've done the sequencing. What is the inference that you draw? What is the result that you find from your reading? Why is it that you're reading? What is the result? What do you find from the text that you've read? Then comes the next step in comprehension, which is comparing and contrasting. So once you've read a story, you've read a text, you have a prior knowledge. Remember, we talked about prior knowledge when we talked about reading. So once you've done that, you need to compare it. You have something in your mind, you have a prior knowledge about whatever you read. So you start comparing it, contrasting it with whatever you have already known. So this is another skill, this is another part of reading. When you understood, this is what we mean by comprehension. It's not just reading the text, knowing the meaning of the words, knowing the grammar of the words, and then moving on. It involves a lot. And then we need to know the background knowledge. For example, if I'm reading about winters, or if I'm reading about a festival, I need to have some kind of background knowledge of what I'm reading. So it's important you share some kind of background of your text, of your story, of whatever you are doing in the class with your student. So provide them with some, even if it is a minor background, a little small thing, please do that. And then we have to distinguish between fact and opinion. Now, this is very important in today's world where we have n number of things coming on social media, and our children are also using social media a lot, much more than we do actually. And there are many things which are not real facts, but just opinion of somebody. But then these things go on circulate so much that they start becoming a fact as well. So your students need to understand, distinguish between what is a fact and what is an opinion. Remember, what we are talking about right now is based on the kind of questions that we are going to get in our CBSE Class 10 board exams. And then we have to find the main idea of whatever we have read. What is the main idea? What is it that the author is talking about in the text that is written, whatever we are reading? So this is one activity that we could do. for reading comprehension. This is called KWL chart. You divide your page, your board into 3 parts. According to the topic, the first part is what I know, which is K. The second part is what I want to know, the topic that we are reading about. There's something that I already know. Then there is something that I would want to know about the topic. And then the third thing, what I learned after reading this text. So this is an activity that you could do with your students. I'm just moving on to the next part because I would rather focus on the questions that we have in class 10 board exams. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask me right now when we are going through the slides. So this is all we have done. I don't think I need to, go on details about it. I understand that most of you would know that summarizing, sequencing, inference, comparing and contrasting, relating background knowledge, distinguishing between fact and opinion, and finding the main idea, central idea of whatever we have read. So, as we did all this, I would now like to say that reading is thinking. It is more of thinking when we read. So, how do we know that it is thinking? There are some pointers over here. So we predict. We use clues to infer what will happen. When I read a sentence or two, I start thinking in my mind what is going to come next. And it happens it happens automatically in our minds. The human mind is um, in such a manner that you read something and you start predicting what will happen, what will come next. And then connect. This is all thinking. You are not actually, finding the meaning of the words. You predict, you connect with whatever you know or whatever is happening around, and then you infer. You use your clues to find some meaning of the reading. It's not the meaning of the words, but meaning of what you have read. What is there? What is the topic? What is being talked to you? And then you start questioning after the reading. And as you read as well, you start questioning why is it that this is being read? It is being written over here. What does the author want, or what is the author thinking when he writes this? So there are some questions which start cropping up into your mind while you read, and then you visualize. There are times when there is a story. So we have a story which says there was a tree, a big black tree with shiny green leaves, and then there were red colored apples on, in between the leaves. There was a tiny cottage near the tree, and then the cottage had a stream flowing near it where there were many chirping birds chirping around. So these are visualizing. They are only words. You're reading the words and then you start visualizing, looking at whatever images we have, what is the scene that the reading creates, and then you also summarize. And these are all points of thinking. You are not doing anything with the language, but you think when you read. So these are the pointers. When you predict, when you infer, when you visualize, what do you actually do? Any questions till now? Whatever we have done about reading, whatever we have talked about reading. Take a minute, read the box over here on the screen. Are you able to read it? Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Just take a minute to read it. And in case you have something to discuss, you want to share, thank you, Sonia ma'am. So in case you want to discuss, you want to share something, I'll wait for a minute or two. Think about whatever we have discussed right now. Last slide. Okay. This is the slide you were talking about. Reading is thinking. Thank you. You may take your time, read it. I'll share the PPT. You want to take screenshots, you may take that, but I'll share the PPT after the session. If anybody else wants some other slide, do you want me to move to the other slide? Okay, I'll do that. So when we predict while reading a text, we use some clues in the text. There are some words, there are some actions, there are some characters or something else which is there, and we use them as clues to predict. When we infer, we have some kind of evidence in our text. There is something given to us. For example, the text that we read just now, red-eyed. So red-eyed is a clue that the father was a tyrant or the father was angry. So we are using the clues to find our meaning, to inference what does the sentence mean, to find out, maybe look at the word tyrant and find its meaning as well. And then we connect. Now there are different levels of connecting. When we are reading the text, we connect the text to text. That means we have read something in the text, in the story earlier, and then we are trying to connect it to the sentence or the part that we are reading right now. We read something in the story yesterday, and then we are trying to connect it to the part of the story that I'm reading today. Again, there is another level of connecting, which is the text to the self. I'm reading something in the text, and then I find that it is, something similar is happening with me, or something similar happened to me, or there is something similar that is there with me. So I'm connecting the text to my own self. Then the third level could be connecting the text to the world. You have this text that you're reading, a story that you're reading, a poem that you're reading, and then you're trying to connect it to the world, happenings around you, something that you have seen happening in your community, something that you have seen in your country, something that you've seen in your city. So you connect it to the world outside. That is the level of connection that you have with the text when you read. And then you start questioning. When you read, questions could be what, who, why, how, where, when. So these are all the words, and these are all the kind of questions that come into your mind when you read. And then you visualize things. We just talked about how we visualize, we find images when we read. And then we finally summarize what we have read. There was somebody who wanted that. Um, he was going there, but he suddenly changed his mind. So this is how we summarize. We look at whatever we have read and then we find what we have done. What is the meaning? What have we understood? Can we move now? Okay, thank you, Sunil sir, for answering. It seems you are answering a lot. So, have you gone through the recent changes that CBSE has introduced in class 10 question paper? Okay, thank you, Sunil. So, I understand that many of you have gone through the question paper. I'm just trying to share a few questions with you. So this is a reference to the context question. This is a chapter in class 10 textbook, main textbook. So there is this passage on your screens. Which chapter would it be? A very interesting chapter. It is not holy, sir. The name of the girl is written over there. The name of the girl is written over here. Thank you, Sonia, ma'am. It's Madam Ride the Bus. So you need to take some, that's right, Valli. So you need to take some time reading the passage. This is what even our students do. All of us have read the chapters. All of us have read the stories, but there are too many stories in the textbook and there are too many chapters in the textbook. So once we start reading it, oh, I know suddenly she was, and suddenly sitting down, she looked. So there is this girl, and I remember this girl's story was Boli. So I just jumped to the conclusion, and without reading the rest of the passage, I figure out that this is a text from the chapter that I know. So you have to tell your students that they need to read the whole passage, the complete passage, before they understand and identify which chapter it is from. It is important that they identify the chapter from the story because the questions may be based in that. But then you'll find the questions are not necessarily based on that. So we'll take a minute or two to read the text over here, the passage that is there. Is 2 minutes enough? Since we have done these chapters in our classrooms? Rapidly like students, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. So now what we'll do is we'll take a minute and two reading the text, and then we'll move on to the questions. I'll be silent for 1 minute. Okay. So Sunil sir has read it. We'll wait for 15 seconds, sir, so that everybody does that. So I hope that everybody else has read it too. Now we move on to the questions. The first question is, how did Valli feel when the elderly man expressed concern that she was standing? Now there are four options to this question. Rather shocked, somewhat happy, fairly displeased, quite embarrassed. Now these are reactions, and the student would know the answer only when they have understood the text. Now I'll again go back to the text. This is how the students would do. Which is the clue to this answer? For the inference, we have to have some clues, evidence. What is the clue that you would use? Will anyone want to share it? You may write in the chat box. C. Okay, sir. Answer is C. What I'm talking about is what is the clue? What is it in the text that tells you that the answer is C? We need to tell our students that they need to find clues. They need to find evidences for their answers. So what is it in the text that tells you that the answer is C? Relating to the line. That's right, Sunil sir. So which line is that? If anyone would like to share. Second and third. So which would be? Okay. Shilpi says she was annoyed. Thank you. So this is our clue. She was annoyed. I'm sorry. So are you able to see that? She was annoyed. So as everybody said, the answer was C, but then we need to tell our students how to find out the answers. She was annoyed, which means fairly displeased. Then the second one is a rather longish one where your students need to read a lot. The catch is you have to find a set of statements that are not true. Now, this is something different from the kind of questions that we have been getting in our board questions. This is a different kind of question. And you must have noticed that even in grammar and other parts of that question, we have been focusing on finding answers that are not true or not correct or that do not resemble or something which is not. So now here are 7 sentences. And out of these 7, you have to find out sentences based on the text which are not true. And then there are sets of answers. I'm sorry, there was a problem. So there are 4 answers to the question, and in each answer you have 3 sentences. There are 3 sentences in each answer, A, B, C, D, and you have to find which one of these sets is correct. Now this would require 2 steps. One, the student will need to read all the 7 sentences and find out which are not true. And then the student also has to look at the 4 options A, B, C, and D and find out which option has all the not true answers. Yes, Shilpi, but now we need to go look at it from the point of view of students because we are going to we are going to teach our students, we are going to help our students find the answers. So how would we help our students? Thank you so much. Thank you, Sunil. So how would we help our students find out the answer?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please. Could you be a bit louder?
Yeah, if the students have read it carefully, they must have understood what the actually. Also, they have also studied the lesson, so they can make a fair idea by reading those sentences that these statements are true and these are false. So, and by
Oh,
reading the text also, it will make them mostly clear about the statement.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Shilpi. It was Shilpi, right?
Right, right.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpi. Um, so someone else?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please. I can't figure out who is that. Okay, Sunil. Sunil.
Sunil.
Yes, Sunil.
Ma'am, after comprehend the passage,
Mm-hmm.
they will answer the this question.
That's right. Thank you. So, how will we help our students comprehend the passage? Let's go to the first sentence. Valli was traveling without a guardian. Now, it means Valli had nobody with her. There was no guardian with her. So, which thing, what is it there in the text which tells you that she was traveling without a guardian? Is there something over here? Is there something over here? Look for clues, look for evidences. Can you see the evidence for the first sentence? Traveling without a guardian. I'm just looking at the trying to figure out. That's right, Pratibha. I had paid my fare, but paying the fare does not mean that she's alone. A mere girl could play. What if what if the girl is traveling with, say, her mother, father, and she insists on paying for the fees, paying for the ticket. She insists that I would pay it. I would not let, she would not let her mother or father or somebody else pay it. Sometimes kids do that. So the evidence that she's traveling all alone, she does not have a guardian, is when the conductor says, the city all alone. So we have to tell students to find out evidences. Mere girl. Yes, a mere girl means simply girl. That does not mean that she is all alone. What if the girl is with a companion that she is paying and the conductor says, oh, mere girl is paying that? Why can't the companion, why can't her brother, why can't her mother, why can't her aunt, uncle, father pay for the ticket? It is a mere girl who's paying it. So that does not mean that she is without a companion. Let's help our students think. As we just discussed, that reading is thinking. So when you read, you must find evidences, clues, thinking all the time and questioning all the time. So the second sentence is the conductor was bullying Wali. Was the conductor bullying Wali? Other students need to know the meaning of bullying. What is the meaning of bullying? The students need to know. If they don't know the meaning, this question is going to fall flat on that. The sentence is going to fall flat on that. So they need to have a vocabulary which has been built with your help. So I'll move to the next question. I hope you would know now how to help your students find out evidences in the text for such a question, because they might not know what to do or how to do. So you need to go through each and every sentence. That's right, vocabulary is very important, Sunil. So you need to help your students figure out. This is something which would be new for them, for you as well. Thank you. So I'll move to the next question. I hope you will be able to figure out. We were able to figure out the answer in a second. It did not take us a lot of time figuring out the answer, but for our students, it would need time. And we'll have to help them out figuring out the answers to such questions. Now, the next question is, pick the option that correctly classifies. Okay. Now, the third question is for blind students. The next one is, which word does chimed in not correspond to? I'll just, okay. There is a mix up over here. I'll just change it. I'm sorry for that. So read the third question. You have to find an option which says the facts, that these are facts and opinions of the students. So 1 and 2 are facts. There is okay, let me see if I can, because there was this picture over here which I'll stop this and I'll share. I'm sorry, there was some technical flaw. Now, I'll again share it. Thank you for writing that. Thank you for that. Okay, we'll move to question number 4. For third, there is a figure which is somehow not visible over here. So question 4 says, which word does chimed in not correspond to? I'll come again to the earlier question. Let us discuss this one. There's a word chimed in the passage. Now we have to figure out a word which does not correspond to chimed in, which does not mean chimed in. There are 4 words over here: intervened, interrupted, intersected, interjected. Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Shukla has already given the answer. We'll go back to the passage. And find out where the word chimed in is. It's a conductor speaking, and he says this word. Now, is this visible to you? Okay, thank you, Sunil. Now, the conductor chimed in. What he says after this: "Oh, sir, but this is a very grown-up madam. Do you think a mere girl could pay her own fare and travel to the city all alone?" Now, what is he trying to say? What is he trying to say? When the girl says, "I paid my 30 paisa like anybody else," she means I'm not a child. So he's trying to make fun of the girl. He's trying to be. So he's intervening, he's interrupting the girl, he's intersecting the girl, he's not interjecting. So the 5th question, choose the characteristic displayed by the conductor when he addressed Valli and declared that she couldn't be a mere girl. Now, what is he trying to tell to Valli when he says that she's not a mere girl? Is he trying to encourage Valli? Is he trying to indulge Valli? Is he trying to embarrass Valli, or is he trying to display authority? Let us look at the passage. Is it really trying to encourage? Look at the sentence again when the conductor speaks. "Oh, sir, but this is a very grown-up madam. Do you think a mere girl could pay her own fare and travel to the city all alone?" Look at his tone. So he's trying to encourage Valli that she is not a mere girl. She is a grown-up woman. She's behaving like a grown-up woman. And the chapter also says that Madam rides the bus. So there are 2 questions in this section, in the RTC section from the passage, and the students have to choose one question after the 2 and answer. This was first, and the second one is from the baker. The chapter that has tea from Assam, Goa, where there is a talk about the baker from the Goa. So the next passage over here is from that chapter. Just take half a minute to read this part. I'll highlight it. and then we'll directly go to the questions. When you're done reading, just let me know. So for the first question over here, I'll share another document with you. It has a picture. So there is this picture on the screen. Are you able to see it? Please respond by speaking. I'm not able to look at your chat. If somebody could just say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So there are 4 pictures over here. If you could see 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 pictures over here.
No, ma'am.
And this, one which says 1100, 50, 2200. Is that visible or not?
No, ma'am. Pictures are not visible.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then there is some technical glitch. So I'll share the pictures, the question with the picture on the Telegram with the PPT. Let's move on to the next question then. Let's not waste time. So now, is the PPT visible to you?
No, ma'am.
What happened? Thank you. Is this visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next question, which is for visually impaired students, but this might work for practicing with our students as well. So the monthly accounts were written on the dress, remembered by the baker, written on the wall, or calculated on the palm. These are 4 options. And after reading the passage, the students need to answer this. Now, again, the same thing. We have to find clues or evidences from the passage, from the text that we are reading. So, is there anything over here? I hope this is visible to you.
No, ma'am. Shorter दिखाई दे रही है.
Acha. Okay. I'll just. I'm sorry about that. So we'll
Okay,
move to the second question. When the writer says baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days, he means that baking isn't as popular in Goa recently. Bakers have chosen to adopt other professions. Baking as a job isn't as gainful as it used to be, I guess. And the 4th answer is over here. Option. I'll just pick it up from there. So there are 4 options to this question. We need to find one answer. Now the writer is talking about the old days and that the profession of baking was profitable in old days. Now what does that mean? It was profitable in old days, but now it is not. So the option which tells you about this is which option?
C, ma'am.
Thank you. So you need to now for this question you need to discuss the meaning of the question with the students. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. That baking is in these days, in today's world, is not a profitable profession, according to the author. So now the same meaning is conveyed through sentence number C. Again, next question, we have to find a statement that is true about payment or collection of baker. Now, the statement that is true about payment collection according to passages, baker received payment on a daily basis. The baker was paid for his services at end of the month.
Participants, there is some problem from ma'am's side. Actually, there is some power cut. So ma'am will resume in a minute or two. Garima ma'am, can we start?
Hello, I'm sorry, there was a power cut.
Ma'am, you have login with two devices.
Okay.
So there is echo, sir, ma'am.
Is this okay now?
Yes, ma'am, it's fine now.
Okay, thank
Ma'am,
you.
can you put your slides on slide share mode? That's
I'll just do that. Is this visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am,
Okay,
just
thank
put it
you.
on the slide share mode. So yes, ma'am. Now it's
Thank
fine.
you. Okay, we were talking about baking and then the statement which is true. Okay, so the fourth question is Kabai was a peculiar outfit as it was a tight-fitting apparel, too colorful, made of unsuitable material. Sorry, does that? So there are four options. Hello, is this visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's right. The answer is D. Can we go back to the passage and then see why is it that we choose D? Oh, sorry. Now here is the passage. Now which talks about Kabai is a peculiar dress. And that's where the answer is. It's a peculiar outfit as it was. What we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out the evidences. And we have to give this practice to our students so that they don't have problem attempting the question. Let's come back to the question again. So we have four options, out of which the fourth option, dress like attire, is there in the passage. Okay, the next questions that are there from the poetry section. I'll just share the questions from the poetry section with you in a minute. Any questions that you'd like to ask from here? Any questions from the kind of questions that we have discussed right now? We'll just do one more for the poetry. No queries about the prose section. There are no queries, I guess. So we'll move on to the poetry section as well. Again, there are two extracts from poetry, from the poems that we have read, and then we have to answer only one of these. I'll just take one extract from the poem, which is from the poem Tiger. I'll share it with you to help you see what kind of questions do we have in poetry. And as you would have seen in the worksheets, there is the kind of questions that they are in the poem section are very different again. So we'll need to go through it once. Just trying to figure out how to. This technology sometimes does this with you. So this is the extract from the poem, as you would be able to see. There are 5 questions again with answers. I don't know why this happens. Are you able to see the screen? Is the PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you. So there are 4 lines from the poem over here. And then the first question is, okay, just take half a minute to read the lines. Half a minute to read the lines. That's right, sir. So even if the student doesn't know that the poem is from, the extract is from the poem Tiger in the zoo, he would be able to find it out from reading the questions. The first question says, the fact that the tiger is stalking the length of his cage tells us that he is dash. Now, stalking the length of his cage. The students need to know what is the meaning of stalking and why is he stalking the length of his cage. Length means from one end to the other end. Why is he doing that? Why is the tiger doing that? That's right. We know the answer, but the students would not know it. I can see all of you, many of you writing the answers in the chat box. But then we as teachers know the answer. How do we help our students know the answer now? That is what we need to discuss. We can't have the student mugging up the answers over here because there are different answers here. And you cannot possibly have the students mug up the answers to every question, every kind of question. As you would see later on, there are more questions that would not have your students remembering, mugging up the answers. That would need your students to understand what is there in the poem. So now the poet says, talking the length of his cage. Now the students would need to understand why is it or when is it that a person moves from one end. That's right. When we describe the meaning of the poem, Sunil has rightly said that. But then why is it or when is it that a person moves from one end of the room to the other end and then he keeps moving here and there, here and there? What is the kind of emotion? That's right. The tiger is locked in a cage, Sunaina. Mm-hmm. Now he's locked. That's right, Sunaina. He's sad. He's restless. So you do that, or somebody does that when you are sad or you're restless. You move from one end of the room, from one, that's right, deprived of freedom. You're sad. You're restless. That is when you do it. So the students need to understand the meaning of phrases and expression in the poem. If somebody is doing that, what is the emotion behind that? Please remember, poetry is spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. I'm sure you would remember that. When we did our English literature, we read it as the definition of poetry. So you must keep it at, that's right, Sunil sir, William Wordsworth. We are not discussing William Wordsworth with students, but we must remember that poem is overflow of powerful emotions. So when we talk about words, we must understand and help students understand which emotion, what kind of emotion is this word or is this phrase referring to. As you would see in this question, stalking the length of the cage is now directly referring to some kind of emotion. Restless, reckless, resilient, reverent. So the student has to know what kind of emotion is there when the poet is writing, stalking the length of his cage. This is the action. Stalking the length of the cage is an action. What kind of emotion leads to this action? So we need to help understand. That's right, Sunil. It's a sad emotion. So this is how our students would know how to answer the questions. Now the second one, rhyme scheme of the given stanza. That's pretty easy. I'll go back. Rhyme scheme, we have done it many a times. We've been doing it since class 6, 7, 8. And then we graduate in class 9 and our students know the rhyming words. But then we need to help them practice with the rhyming words. Now this is bars, visitors, cars, and stars. So I'll go back to the rhyming scheme. Now, bars, cars, and stars is one, and visitors is another. So we have two kind of rhyming words here. Here. Sorry, I need to go back. Now, since the poem is like this, the text in the poem is like this, but in the question paper, it appeared I earlier had it. Now, let's look at what this rhyme scheme. A, B, C, B, A, B, C, B, A, B, C, B, A, B, C, D. Now, let us look at this. Okay, now look at, that's right. Now let's look at the answers that we have over here. Do we need to go back? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
here we are. Now, can I go back to the question? That's right. As you would see, these questions are not very easy for the students to understand. So, okay. So students would need a lot of help, a lot of guidance when they do this, when they attempt this. Now, this is what it looks like. Cell, bars, cage, visitors. Night, cars, eyes, stars. Cell is 1, bars is B, A, B, C, B. Can you see that? A, B, C, B, A, B, C. So that's how the questions go. Now the next question is, the stanzas bring out the contrast between zoos and cities, strength and weakness, freedom and captivity, visitors and patrolling cars. Now again, I'm going back to, if you've read the options, I'll again go back to the stanzas. Here it is. I'm sorry. So the students need to know the poem very well. Look at the first stanza, look at the second stanza. That's right. We know freedom and captivity. The first stanza talked about concrete cells, behind the bars, cage. And the second one talks about voice, patrolling cars, brilliant eyes, brilliant stars. So we know this is freedom and captivity. But these are the words that I just spoke. You need to talk to the students about these words. These are the clues that they would find in this stanza to find out the answers. Okay, now the next question is again a little tricky. What is the caged tiger not likely to say to the visitors? Now the tiger is caged, so he will not say one of these to the visitors. What is it that he would not say to the visitors? I don't know why this happened. There are 4 options. The 4th option has moved somehow from here, so I'll just put it here again. Stop staring, set me free, join me, go away. So out of these 4, the tiger may say 3 things to the visitors, but not one. Not likely to say to the visitors. Join me. That's right. Thank you, Pawan sir. Thank you, Sunaina ma'am. So it took us some time. Join me. And why would he not say that? Because he is sad and restless in his captivity. Now, the first 2 questions actually lead you to the answer to the third one. The first question talks about the emotion, which is sad and restless, and then the contrast between the 2 stanzas, freedom and captivity. And now the question talks about what would the tiger say and not say. As you would notice, it is again the action which is talking about an underlying emotion over here. The tiger would not say, join me, because he is sad because of being captive. So we need to discuss all that with our students when we talk about the poem. There is another stanza which I may not be able to discuss, which is about the ball poem. But I just want to just share one thing with you, that we have to talk about epithet, simile, metaphor, and all these items with the students, because our poems have it. All the poems in class 10 have it, and especially ball poem and Custard the Dragon. So we need to discuss them with the students because we have questions on these in our sample papers. So we must have the students practicing these in the from the sample papers, as well as the worksheets that are being provided to you by the department. The worksheets also have similar questions with exactly the same kind of wording. For example, it was like, what is the caged tiger not likely to say to the visitor? So the question again in the sample, in the worksheets would have not likely to happen, not likely to be, not likely. So that students get practice to the pattern of answering questions like these. And also, as you would see, the question over here talks about ball as a symbol of boys' sense of adventure, carefree childhood days. So it is a symbol, if you would understand. I can see the time is up, and we have been able to discuss reading, a few activities, what is reading, what are the components of reading, a few activities to help reading, and then discuss RTC questions from our class 10 board sample papers. So is there anything that you would like to share or discuss? I'll be sharing the PPT with all of you in case there anything else. Chanchal ma'am, there is the RP for the next session over here, or do I continue? Is Chanchal ma'am over here? Okay. Thank you, sir. So we have in the next session, you have POXO and RTE to be discussed. I'll share the link, the sample question paper also with you. Do you have the sample question paper with you? Have you seen the sample question paper? If not, you must, because there are many changes which you need to go through before you actually talk to students about this. So thank you. Thank you all for listening to me patiently and being a part of the session. I enjoyed being with you. Thanks. Thanks to all of you. Is Chanchal ma'am here?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks
Thank you,
to
ma'am.
all of you. Thanks to all of you.
So, thanks a lot, Garima ma'am. So, ma'am has wind up the session on time. So, let's do one thing. Let's take a break for half an hour and we'll meet sharp at 4. Thank you all. Welcome, Sandeep sir. So, sir, actually, we had a break for 30 minutes. So we'll start the session within a minute or two. So welcome back. A few participants have even not sent me their details. I've requested again and again on the Telegram group and even at the chat box. Please, those participants whose name are not there in the list, please provide me your details. The name involves Sheetal ma'am. Sheetal ma'am is right here with us. Ma'am, please provide me your details. Shivani Lakra, Surjit Kumar, Kumari Yashoda, Komal Mathur, Shilpi Bashish. Shilpi Bashish ma'am is also here with us. And Subedar Rajbhasar. Please provide me your details so that I can add your name in the list. Sheetal ma'am and Shilpi Bashish ma'am, please send me your details in Telegram group. So without wasting any time further, let's start with our next period. This period is on RTE Act.
Excuse me, ma'am.
And yes, ma'am, you want to say something, Sunita ma'am?
यस मैम मैंने अभी मैसेज किया था कि मेरा ना जो फर्स्ट सर्कुलर था उसमें राजेंद्र नगर इवनिंग शिफ्ट में था, लेकिन कल जो आज आपने लिस्ट सेंड की है उसमें मॉर्निंग शिफ्ट दिखा रहा है और मैं कंटिन्यू इवनिंग शिफ्ट में ही ट्रेनिंग ले रही हूँ 7 से और मेरे इसी में वो चल रही है अटेंडेंस।
ठीक है मैम, आप इसी में कंटिन्यू कीजिए मैम, इसी में कंटिन्यू कीजिए आप।
यस मैम, मैंने अपनी डिटेल शेयर की थी कल भी और आज भी। और एक्चुअली
हाँ,
मैम
ठीक है मैम।
मेरी इसमें एक चीज़ और थी, क्योंकि जब मेरी डिटेल्स थी ना जो मेरे फर्स्ट सर्कुलर के अकॉर्डिंग आया था, तो उसमें मेरी सुनीता के नाम के आगे GGSS ललिता पार्क था, लेकिन उसके बाद मेरा ट्रांसफ़र हुआ था दूसरे स्कूल में, तो अब मेरे जो नाम आता है उसमें सूरजमल बिहार आता है, RSKB सूरजमल बिहार आता है। मैं प्रेजेंट में वही हूँ मैम।
ठीक है मैम, मैं यही वाली डिटेल्स भेजूंगी आप जो आपने मुझे भेजी है।
मैंने जो डिटेल दी है अभी भी, तो वो मैंने प्रेजेंट की ही दी है, जहाँ मैं प्रेजेंट में हूँ।
फाइन फाइन फाइन, ठीक है मैम, ओके फाइन।
ठीक है मैम, फिर आप सर्टिफिकेट वगैरह इसी नाम से
हाँ जी हाँ जी प्लीज, हाँ जी हाँ, इसी नाम से आपके पास सर्टिफिकेट आएगा मैम।
नाम से, ठीक है
हाँ
मैम।
जी हाँ जी मैम, हाँ जी हाँ जी। Shita ma'am and one more Shilpi ma'am, please do the needful. So without wasting any time further, let's start today's session. This session is on RTE. संदीप सर, मेरी आवाज नहीं आ रही आपके पास?
हेलो
संदीप सर,
मैम, आप
आवाज
सुन
नहीं
पा
आ
रहे
रही?
हैं मेरे को?
हाँ, सुन पा रहे हैं सर, बिल्कुल क्लियर, लाउड एंड क्लियर।
मैं थोड़ा सा आवाज कम है मेरी तरफ, आपकी आवाज कम आ रही है।
अच्छा नहीं, मुझे आपकी आवाज लाउड एंड
आप मेरे
क्लियर
को ठीक सुन रहे हैं तो मैं कंटिन्यू करता हूँ।
हाँ जी। चलो लेट्स वेलकम डॉक्टर संदीप कुमार. He is my colleague. He is a diet faculty with us, and he will be taking session on right to education. Over to Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir, you can start your session now.
जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच मैम। सभी साथियों को नमस्कार।
बस मैं आधे मिनट में आपको फोन करता हूँ, बस एक सेकंड।
जी
नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार। तो साथियों, आज का हमारा सेशन रहेगा राइट टू एजुकेशन, शिक्षा अधिकार अधिनियम 2009। और जैसे कि मैम ने परिचय दिया है, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर संदीप कुमार, मैं लेक्चरर हूँ डाइट दरियागंज में, और आज हम इसी कड़ी में चर्चा कर रहे हैं राइट टू एजुकेशन। चंचल मैम, मेरे को ना शेयरिंग राइट दे दीजिए, जिससे
इसका दे देंगे, नहीं हो पाएगा।
चंचल मैम, हेलो,
आपको प्रेजेंटर
मैं
बना
वीडियो शेयरिंग कर पाऊँ?
हाँ जी सर, मैंने
शेयरिंग
आपको
राइट दे
प्रेजेंटर
दीजिए
बना
मेरे को।
दिया, दे दिया सर, प्रेजेंटर बना दिया मैंने।
OCBP देना, हैप्पीनेस OCBP
हैप्पीनेस ओसिस भी, ओके सर, ठीक है,
तो उस पर दीजिए।
ओके सर, ओके।
जी
मैंने को होस्ट बना दिया उनको, आपको भी बना दिया सर को होस्ट, दोनों को होस्ट हो गए हैं आप।
जी, मैं अभी वीडियो PPT शेयरिंग करता हूँ, तो साथ ही मैं तब तक कंटिन्यू करता हूँ देखिए चूंकि हमारा 40 मिनट सेशन है, तो इसमें हम मुख्य रूप से देखो 3 ही बात होती है, क्या, क्यों और कैसे। अगर हमें ये 3 बात स्पष्ट हो जाती है तो निश्चित रूप से हम उस पर्टिकुलर विषय में कुछ कहने सुनने के योग्य हो जाते हैं। तो अगर हम बात करें क्या, तो ये तो हमें स्पष्ट है कि हम लोग राइट टू एजुकेशन पर चर्चा करेंगे। राइट टू एजुकेशन अब हमारे लिए क्यों आवश्यक है, हमारी क्या भूमिका होगी। तो शिक्षा अधिकार अधिनियम जो कि हमारे सभी स्कूलों में लागू है, इसको हमारे लिए समझना क्यों आवश्यक है, इस पे अगर हम थोड़ा दृष्टि डालें तो पता लगेगा कि जो बच्चों की शिक्षा 6 से 14 साल के बच्चों के लिए मुफ्त और अनिवार्य शिक्षा की व्यवस्था की गई है, इसमें डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स, जिसमें हम लोग भी हैं, टीचर्स, पेरेंट्स या फिर गवर्नमेंट यानी कि स्टेट, इनकी भूमिका क्या है। तो हम यह प्रयास करेंगे ये समझने का कि हम टीचर्स की भूमिका क्या है। तो जैसे जैसे हमें यह स्पष्ट होता है कि टीचर का रोल क्या है, तो हमें ये क्लियरिटी हो जाती है कि हम अपने विद्यालय में भले किसी भी सब्जेक्ट के टीचर हों तो हमारी भूमिका क्या हो। तो साथियों, आज जिस तरह से हमारे अपने कुछ राइट्स हैं, हम एडल्ट्स लोगों के अपने कुछ राइट हैं कि हमारा रोजगार का अधिकार है, हम जो चीज सीखते हैं बेसिकली उसको डिलीवर करना हमारा अधिकार हो जाता है। तो सिमिलरली जो बच्चे हैं, छोटे बच्चे, उनका भी अधिकार है। तो इसी कड़ी में हम पहले थोड़ा सा जानना चाहेंगे कि शिक्षा अधिकार अधिनियम का थोड़ा सा पहले इसका बैकग्राउंड जान लें। बैकग्राउंड जानने के बाद हम ये जानने का प्रयास करेंगे कि इसमें क्या क्या प्रोविजंस हैं, कौन से प्रोविजंस हैं, और लास्ट में हम चर्चा करेंगे कि वर्तमान शिक्षा में हमारा जो इंक्लूसिव सेटअप है, इंक्लूसिव सेटअप में हम लोग किस तरह से हम एक क्वालिटी एजुकेशन इन बच्चों को देने का प्रयास करें। तो दोस्तों, मैं थोड़ा सा इसका ब्रीफ बैकग्राउंड आपको बता देता हूं कि राइट टू एजुकेशन की जो शुरुआत है ये हमारा 1910 से हुई है, जब अंग्रेजी शासन था। तो अंग्रेजी शासन में 1910 में सबसे पहले गोखले जी और उनके साथियों ने इस डिमांड को रखा अंग्रेजों के सामने। लेकिन उस वक्त की जो भी परिस्थितियां थी, अवेयरनेस नहीं थी, संसाधन नहीं थे, और या उस वक्त की जो सरकारें थी उनकी इच्छा शक्ति नहीं थी, तो ये बिल फेल हो गया, आउट कर दिया गया। उसके बाद जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़े, गांधी जी ने भी इसमें जो अपना स्यूपा वाला कॉन्सेप्ट था उसमें इसको देने का प्रयास किया कि बच्चे कम से कम स्किल तो सीख लें, स्किलफुल तो हो जाएं। तो बच्चे स्किलफुल हो जाए तो कम से कम अपनी रोजी रोटी कमा लें। ऐसे चलते चलते देश आजादी की ओर गया, और आजाद होने के बाद जो संविधान बना तो उसमें 2 बड़े महत्वपूर्ण आर्टिकल रखे गए, आर्टिकल 21 और आर्टिकल 45। आर्टिकल 21 में बात थी कि जीने का अधिकार, और आर्टिकल 45 में था कि यूनिवर्सलाइजेशन ऑफ एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन, प्राथमिक शिक्षा का सार्वभौमिकरण। हाँ, तो ये 2 आर्टिकल हमारे इसमें रहे। लेकिन साथियों, विद इन 10 ईयर हमें ये अचीव करना था, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम आ रही है नेटवर्क। You are not clearly audible, sir. मोबाइल बोलता रहता हूँ मैं, लेकिन विद इन 10 ईयर हम इसको अचीव नहीं कर पाए और धीरे धीरे 10 साल 20 साल निकलते गए। तो तब जाके एक बहुत बड़ा डिसीजन जिसको हम उन्नी कृष्ण डिसीजन के नाम से जानते हैं 1993 में आया। उसमें यह स्पष्ट किया गया कि हम आर्टिकल 21 जीने का अधिकार है, तो शिक्षा के बिना जीने का अधिकार संभव नहीं है। ये कह रहे ऑडिबल नहीं है। शिक्षा के बिना जीने का अधिकार संभव नहीं है। तो अगर बच्चे को शिक्षा ही नहीं मिली तो वास्तव में वो जीना उसका संभव नहीं हो सकता। फिर 93 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये आदेश दिया कि इसको फंडामेंटल राइट बनाया जाए। फंडामेंटल राइट बनाने की कड़ी में फिर सरकारों ने प्रयास किया सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइन के बेस पे, और 2002 में इन 2002 86 अमेंडमेंट किया गया, 86वां संविधान संशोधन, और उसमें 6 से 14 साल के बच्चों के लिए मुफ्त और अनिवार्य शिक्षा की व्यवस्था करने को कहा गया। तो पहले जितनी भी डिमांड थी वो 0 से 14 ईयर थी, लेकिन इस 86वां संविधान संशोधन के बाद 6 से 14 साल के बच्चों के लिए मुफ्त और अनिवार्य शिक्षा की व्यवस्था की गई। दोस्तों, ये 2002 में अमेंडमेंट हुआ और चलते चलते 2009 में बिल पास हुआ और ये एक्ट लागू हुआ। लेकिन इंप्लीमेंटेशन जो हुआ स्कूलों में, ये 1 अप्रैल 2010 से हुआ, एक्सेप्ट जम्मू एंड कश्मीर। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर राज्य को छोड़कर ये पूरे देश में इसको लागू किया गया। अब सवाल ये उठता है दोस्तों कि इसको लागू होने में और बनाने में चूंकि 100 साल का समय लगा, करीब करीब 100 ईयर्स, तो 100 ईयर्स में हमने बच्चों के अधिकार को एक संवैधानिक व्यवस्था, संवैधानिक दर्जा मिला, और अब इसको लागू करने की जिम्मेदारी शिक्षा विभाग की है, सरकारों की है और समाज के अन्य सदस्यों की है। क्या मेरी आवाज आ पा रही है?
जी सर।
कोई पार्टिसिपेंट?
जी सर, आ रहे हैं।
जी, थैंक यू सो मच। हाँ, तो साथियों, कुल मिला के अगर हम देखें तो मोर देन 100 ईयर्स इसको लगे इस पूरी बच्चों के इस अधिकार को दिलाने के लिए संवैधानिक रूप से। अब सवाल ये उठता है कि जो प्रोविजंस इसमें किया गया है, तो क्या क्या प्रोविजंस हैं इसमें? राइट टू एजुकेशन में बच्चों के लिए क्या क्या व्यवस्थाएं की गई हैं? तो इसमें से कुछ तो मुख्य रूप से बड़ी सामान्य सी है कि हम बच्चे को एडमिशन के लिए डिनाई नहीं कर सकते। बच्चे को किसी भी आधार पे अगर उस पर कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं है, बच्चे पे किसी भी तरह का अगर कोई कैपिटेशन फीस नहीं ले सकते, हम बच्चे को एडमिशन से डिनाई नहीं करेंगे, भले वो किसी भी सोसाइटी के किसी भी सेक्शन से बिलोंग करता है। किसी भी सोसाइटी किसी भी सेक्शन से बिलोंग करता है तो हम बच्चे को एडमिशन से डिनाई नहीं कर सकते। दूसरा ये कि बच्चे को क्लासरूम में फिजिकल पनिशमेंट नहीं दे सकते। फिजिकल पनिशमेंट हो या मेंटल हरासमेंट, हम बच्चे का फिजिकल या मेंटल हरासमेंट नहीं कर सकते। इसी कड़ी में हमारे पास जो दूसरे प्रोविजन है कि यह है कि 25% सीट्स, 25% सीट्स आर रिजर्व फॉर द चिल्ड्रन विद इकोनॉमिकल बैकग्राउंड। जो आर्थिक रूप से पिछड़े बच्चे हैं उनके लिए भी 25% सीट रिजर्व की गई हैं। और जो हम स्कूल चलाते हैं, कोई भी स्कूल विदाउट रिकॉग्निशन नहीं चला सकते। आपको कंसर्न एजेंसी से, जो भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की कंसर्न एजेंसीज हैं, वहां से इसको रिकॉग्नाइज करना पड़ेगा। तो साथियों, मैं थोड़ा सा जानना चाहूंगा कि जो बच्चा एज अप्रोप्रिएट, सपोज करो बच्चा आज 10 या 11 साल का है जो कि स्कूल में नहीं, तो क्या इसके लिए क्या प्रोविजन होगा, किस तरह की व्यवस्था है राइट टू एजुकेशन के तहत? जी, कोई साथी रेस्पॉन्ड करेगा? या फिर जो डिसेबल स्टूडेंट्स हैं हमारे पास, उनके लिए क्या प्रोविजन है? ठीक चलता हुआ।
Sir, good afternoon. I would like to answer this question.
जी जी
सर, डिसेबल्ड बच्चों के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने कई ऐसी स्कीम्स चलाई हुई हैं ताकि उन्हें प्रोत्साहन मिले, और बिल्डिंग के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भी ऐसे चेंजेस किए गए हैं जैसे रैम्प्स, रेलिंग्स और टाइल्ड फ्लोर्स, ताकि उन्हें आने जाने में प्रॉब्लम ना हो। स्पेशल बुक्स भी हैं। थैंक
जी
यू।
जी, वेलकम, बहुत अच्छा आपने रखा। तो मैं बता दूं, आपने जो बताया कि इन बच्चों के लिए,
हेलो सर।
क्योंकि हमारी जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है वो इंक्लूसिव है, समावेशी व्यवस्था, जिसमें किसी भी तरह का बैरियर नहीं होना चाहिए। सभी बच्चों को समान अवसर मिलने चाहिए। इसके लिए अगर कोई बच्चा डिसेबल्ड है तो उसके लिए जो फिजिकल फैसिलिटीज हैं, रैंप बनाना, वो मूवमेंट कर सके विद्यालय के हर क्षेत्र में, उसकी व्यवस्था की गई है। और बड़ी बात इसमें की है कि इन बच्चों के लिए राइट टू एजुकेशन 18 ईयर तक के लिए है। जैसे कि बाकी के लिए 14 ईयर है, तो इन बच्चों के लिए 18 ईयर तक वो सारी चीजें अवेलेबल रहेंगी जो सामान्य बच्चों के लिए 14 ईयर तक है। अब इसी कड़ी में मैं जानना चाहता हूं, बाकी हाँ, स्पेशल चिल्ड्रन है, इनके लिए जो हमारा PWD एक्ट है, पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट है, उस एक्ट के तहत जो भी फैसिलिटीज मिलनी है इन बच्चों को, वो सब कुछ इन बच्चों को मिलेगा। वो अलग से एक्ट है, पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट, उसमें जो भी प्रोविजन है वो भी सुनिश्चित इसमें किए जाते हैं। अब सवाल यह है कि एक बच्चा जो कि कक्षा 5 या 6 में होना चाहिए था लेकिन आज तक स्कूल नहीं गया, आउट ऑफ स्कूल है, अब इस आउट ऑफ स्कूल के बच्चे के लिए क्या हम डायरेक्ट स्कूल में एडमिशन देंगे या कोई और तरीका होगा? इस तरह के बच्चे के लिए क्या व्यवस्था है? जी, कोई शेयरिंग करें प्लीज।
सर, मैं सुरुचि बोल रही हूँ अगेन।
जी
सर, इनके लिए इंडिविजुअलाइज्ड एजुकेशन प्लान्स हैं, IEP, जो हर बच्चे
जी
के लिए स्पेशली स्पेशल एजुकेटर बनाते हैं, उनकी
जी
नीड्स
जी
और उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स को देखते हुए। आई थिंक यही
जी
होना
जी
चाहिए सर। बाकी आप इस पे यू कैन थ्रो मोर लाइट ऑन इट।
जी जी, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो साथियों, आपने देखा होगा आपके कुछ स्कूलों में ना स्पेशल ट्रेनिंग सेंटर्स हैं, STC। तो सभी स्कूलों में तो नहीं है, MCD के भी कुछ चुनिंदा स्कूलों में है, और साथ ही साथ जो हमारे DOE के स्कूल है उसमें कुछ चुनिंदा स्कूलों में है। इस सुरुचि जी का हाथ हैंड रेज है, डिजिटली कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? सुरुचि
नहीं सर, मैंने बोल दिया था, वो एक्चुअली हाथ
जी,
वैसे ही ना।
अच्छा अच्छा, हैंड रेज ऐसे, कोई बात नहीं, यस यस।
माय
तो
ओपिनियन।
साथियों, मैं बता देता हूं, जो बच्चे हमारे स्कूलों में नहीं पहुंचे अप्रोप्रिएट एज के अकॉर्डिंग, तो उनके लिए, चूंकि हम एडमिशन को डिनाई नहीं कर सकते, तो पहले उन बच्चों को हम, जो हमारा इस STC होते हैं, स्पेशल ट्रेनिंग सेंटर्स, उसमें उनको ब्रिज कोर्स कराया जाता है। कुछ हफ्तों का भी होता है, वो बच्चे की एबिलिटी को पहले जांचा जाता है प्रॉपर एग्जाम लेके। तो बच्चे की जिस तरह की स्थिति है अकॉर्डिंगली उसको ब्रिज करिकुलम होता है, वो हफ्ते का भी है, 2 हफ्ते का है, 2 महीने का है। वो कराने के बाद फिर एज के अकॉर्डिंग, बच्चे की जो एज है उसी एज के अप्रोप्रिएट उसको उसी क्लास में एडमिशन सुनिश्चित किया जाता है। तो इस तरह से हम जो डिसेबल्ड बच्चे उनकी बात भी कर सकते हैं, जो बच्चे आउट ऑफ स्कूल हैं या एज अप्रोप्रिएट विद्यालय में नहीं पहुंच पाए किन्हीं भी कारणों से, उनको भी दाखिला देने से हम मना नहीं कर सकते। यस, प्रोविजंस कोई और शेयरिंग करना चाहेंगे? और साथियों, इसमें मैं और ऐड कर दूं, जो टीचर्स के लिए है, टीचर्स इसमें क्वालिफाइड होने चाहिए। हालांकि दिल्ली में तो ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी, लेकिन अगर हम बाकी राज्यों में देखें तो स्थिति ये थी कि हमारे पास जो टीचर है एलिमेंट्री लेवल तक के, कुछ स्कूलों में क्वालिफाइड नहीं थे, मीन्स ट्रेनिंग नहीं थी उनके पास, टीचर ट्रेनिंग। तो टीचर ट्रेनिंग भी कंपलसरी थी। इसके लिए इनिशियली 5 साल की छूट दी गई थी, लेकिन ये छूट फिर एक्सटेंड होती चली गई। और अब पिछले साल इसमें NIS, नेशनल ओपन स्कूलिंग ने वो टीचर जिन्होंने कभी पहले कोई टीचर ट्रेनिंग नहीं की हुई है, तो उनके लिए प्रोविजन किया गया था कि वो इस कोर्स को कर ले डिस्टेंस मोड में। और फिर जो है कोई भी स्कूल में टीचर्स ऐसा ना हो जो ट्रेनिंग लिए ना हो, हर टीचर ट्रेन होना चाहिए, ऐसी भी इसमें व्यवस्था की गई है। और साथ ही साथ राइट टू एजुकेशन को प्रोवाइड कराने के लिए विद इन 1 किलोमीटर के दायरे में, 1 किलोमीटर के दायरे में हमारे पास प्राइमरी स्कूल हो, बच्चा जहां भी रहता हो, और 3 किलोमीटर के दायरे में बच्चे के जो एलिमेंट 6, 7, 8 अपर प्राइमरी विद्यालय है, वो 3 किलोमीटर के दायरे में अवेलेबल होना चाहिए। तो इसमें कुछ प्रोविजन है, काफी लंबी चौड़ी लिस्ट है। और साथ ही साथ आर्टिकल 51A में पेरेंट्स भी बाध्य है। ऐसा नहीं है कि सारी ड्यूटी इसमें टीचर्स की है, कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारे पास जो कि बच्चा अभी विद्यालय में नहीं है, तो एडमिशन की जिम्मेदारी, बच्चे को एडमिशन कराने की जिम्मेदारी अभिभावकों की भी है। तो पेरेंट्स बच्चे को एडमिशन भी दिलाएंगे, और साथ ही साथ जो बच्चे के अटेंडेंस है, अटेंडेंस अगर बच्चा विद्यालय नहीं आ पा रहा है तो अभी टीचर्स क्या करेंगे। तो आर्टिकल 51 पेरेंट्स को भी बाध्य करता है कि वो बच्चे को विद्यालय में भी भेजे। तो विद्यालय भेजने की जिम्मेदारी कहीं ना कहीं पेरेंट्स की है, ये भी इसमें सुनिश्चित किया गया है। और साथियों, व्हाट अबाउट SMC, वो तो बड़ा कॉमन मुद्दा है, आप लोग देखते होंगे स्कूलों में, हो सकता है आप में से कुछ टीचर्स उसके मेंबर भी हो। एक SMC स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कमेटी का गठन भी इसमें किया गया है। SMC के बारे में आप क्या जानकारी शेयरिंग करेंगे, बताइए थोड़ा सा। SMC स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कमेटी। सर आवाज नहीं जा रही क्या, इसमें तुम बहुत खुद हो गया, ऑडियो नहीं है।
सर यू आर नॉट ऑडिबल।
जी जी, वॉल्यूम को करिए पूरा कर रखा सर, फुल वॉल्यूम है। चंचल मैम एक बार उधर से देख लीजिएगा, तो फुल वॉल्यूम है मेरे मोबाइल में तो।
सर आप ऑडिबल है सर, वो आप बीच में पीछे बात कर रहे हैं ना, शायद वो वाली बात नहीं आ रही, अदरवाइज यू आर ऑडिबल टू मी, मुझे तो पूरी
जी जी
आवाज आ
जी
रही है सर आप।
जी, ठीक है, मैं कंटिन्यू करता हूँ। यस, तो इसमें एक प्रोविजन है जो कि बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है, SMC स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कमेटी। दिल्ली के अंदर हमने पिछले कुछ समय से SMC को बड़ा स्ट्रेंथन भी किया है। तो SMC का जो गठन होता है उसमें पेरेंट्स होते हैं, टीचर्स, और जो प्रिंसिपल है, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द स्कूल, वो इस कमेटी के चेयरमैन होते हैं। और ये जो कमेटी है बेसिकली स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कमेटी, इसका प्रोविजन राइट टू एजुकेशन में दिया गया है। राइट टू एजुकेशन में ही इसका प्रोविजन इसलिए किया गया कि विद्यालयों में तो अभी आप जो देखते हैं धरातल पे काफी प्रॉब्लम्स नजर आती हैं। कई बार जो फैसिलिटीज हैं जो कानून में प्रोवाइड की गई है, लेकिन कई बार अवेलेबल नहीं हो पाती। तो बच्चे के एजुकेशन में किसी भी तरह का अगर बैरियर है, वो फिजिकल बैरियर हो या फिर साइकोलॉजिकल, कोई भी बैरियर नहीं होना चाहिए। तो ये मैनेजमेंट जो है, स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कमेटी के सदस्य ये सुनिश्चित करेंगे, उसको आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे, और इस कमेटी के माध्यम से कंसर्न पर्सन के पास वो सुझाव प्रस्तुत करेंगे। और जो इस कमेटी के चेयरमैन है, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द स्कूल, वो ये तय करते हैं। फिर कंसर्न एजेंसी, अगर वो सपोज करो वाटर से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम है तो कंसर्न डिपार्टमेंट से इसको पूरा कराएंगे, बिल्डिंग से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम है तो वो वहां से पूरा कराएंगे। अगर टीचर्स की भी, अगर आपको लगता है कि विद्यालय में कंसर्न सब्जेक्ट का टीचर उपलब्ध नहीं है, तो कुछ समय के लिए, जब तक सरकार की तरफ से टीचर नहीं आता, तो SMC के रिकमेंडेशन पर हम स्कूलों में प्रिंसिपल टीचर भी रख सकते हैं। अगर हमें लगता है कि ये सब्जेक्ट हमारा अधूरा रह गया है, बच्चे की ये प्रॉब्लम है, तो बच्चे की किसी भी तरह की अगर समस्या है तो हम SMC के माध्यम से भी वो प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। क्योंकि हमारा लक्ष्य क्या है, हमारा लक्ष्य ये है कि हम बच्चे को क्वालिटी एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड कराएं। सिर्फ एडमिशन करा देना ही राइट टू एजुकेशन नहीं है। अभी तो एनरोलमेंट हो गया, लेकिन विद्यालय में अगर बच्चे को एजुकेशन नहीं मिल पाई, अगर बच्चे को एजुकेशन नहीं मिल पाई, क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, तो कहीं ना कहीं जो हम बात करते हैं कि बच्चे को जीवन मिलेगा, शिक्षा मिलेगी, और जो जीने का अधिकार की बात करते हैं वो जीने का अधिकार अधूरा ही रह जाता है। तो साथियों, बच्चे का सही मायने में अगर कहें हम, जो आर्टिकल 21 ये कहता है, वो संविधान का आर्टिकल 21 भी पूरा होना चाहिए और 21A भी पूरा होना चाहिए। तो तभी होगा जब बच्चे को क्वालिटी एजुकेशन मिल पाएगी। अगर बच्चे के पास क्वालिटी एजुकेशन नहीं मिल पाती, तो कहीं ना कहीं तमाम प्रयास हमारे असफल हो जाते हैं। तो एसएमसी का भी हमारा प्रोविजन है। तो हम एज ए टीचर अगर अवेयर होते हैं, तो हम में से कुछ सदस्य हो सकता है, आप में से मेंबर भी हो, तो इस एसएमसी का मेंबर भी बने। मेंबर होने के साथ साथ बच्चे की क्वालिटी एजुकेशन में अगर कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आती है, वो एडमिशन से लेके और क्लासरूम की एक्टिविटी से लेके फिजिकल फैसिलिटीज को लेके कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है, तो हम उसको दूर करने का प्रयास करें। और ये ध्यान रखें कि कौन सी कंसर्न एजेंसी है, उसका ख्याल रखते हुए। यह साथियों, तो ये कुछ चीजें जो मैंने शेयरिंग की आपके सामने, प्रोविजंस हैं। वैसे तो काफी लंबी चौड़ी लिस्ट है इसकी प्रोविजंस की, कि किस किस तरह के हैं, लेकिन हम एज ए टीचर, और दूसरा ये भी है कि क्लासरूम में जो टीचर स्टूडेंट रेशो है, वो प्राइमरी लेवल पे तो सिर्फ 1:30 का होना चाहिए। लेकिन ये सच्चाई है कि हम जब चर्चा करते हैं तो विद्यालय में चूंकि हम डिनाई भी नहीं कर पाते बच्चों को, तो हमारे पास बच्चों की संख्या 50, 60, 70, 80 तक भी मिल जाती है। बच्चों की संख्या जो प्रोविजन है राइट टू एजुकेशन में 1:30 होनी चाहिए प्राइमरी क्लासेस में, और अपर प्राइमरी क्लासेस में 1:35। लेकिन यही हमारी प्रॉब्लम है कि विद्यालयों में हमारे बच्चों की संख्या भी ज्यादा रहती है, और काफी चीजें वो हैं जो संसाधन भी उपलब्ध होने चाहिए, लेकिन कुछ बैरियर रह जाते हैं। एजुकेशन चूंकि कंटिन्यूस प्रोसेस है, ये एक दिन में, 2 दिन में एकदम से इवॉल्व होने वाला नहीं है। जब तक सोसाइटी के सभी लोग, यानी कि डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स ऑफ द एजुकेशन, सभी प्रॉपर अवेयर नहीं होंगे, अवेयरनेस के बाद सबकी भागीदारी नहीं होगी, और हम सभी लोग एक चेतना के स्तर पे नहीं आएंगे, तब तक कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम्स हम लोग के सामने रहती ही है। लेकिन अगर इसको मैं समाप्त करना चाहूं, तो जो फिजिकल चीजें हैं वो अभी आप और हमारे सीधे सीधे हमारे हाथ में नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ, हम इसको डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म से उसकी बात पहुंचा सकते हैं। एज ए टीचर उसको बता सकते हैं, एसएमसी के माध्यम से भी और डिपार्टमेंट को भी, कि हाँ ये चीजें अभी अधूरी हैं, इसको पूरा किया जाए। हमारे जो एचओएस हैं या हमारे पास जो डिफरेंट रेस्पॉन्सिबल पर्सन है, वो उसको पूरा करेंगे। लेकिन साथियों, बस एक सबसे महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा होता है कि एज ए टीचर हम क्या करें, हम बच्चे को क्वालिटी एजुकेशन के रिगार्डिंग क्या करें, क्या दें क्लासरूम में, कैसे इन बच्चों को हम सही मायने में शिक्षा दे पाए। तो मैं लास्ट में बस थोड़ी सी चर्चा उस पर करूंगा कि जहां हमारे पास बच्चों की संख्या अकॉर्डिंग टू नॉर्म्स भी है कुछ स्कूलों में, और काफी स्कूल ऐसे भी हैं जहां हमारे पास जो बच्चों की संख्या वो नॉर्म्स से बहुत ज्यादा है। तो यही हमारी समस्या है, प्रॉब्लम्स है क्लासरूम में, एज ए टीचर हम इस चीज को कैसे हैंडल करें। और स्पेशली जो कोविड पीरियड चल रहा है, अभी की जो स्थितियां है, क्योंकि हम सभी लोग ऑनलाइन हैं, ऑनलाइन होने के चक्कर में हमारे पास काफी समस्याएं हैं। हम राइट की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आज बच्चा स्ट्रेस में है, ये अलग समस्या है, पेरेंट्स की समस्या अलग है। और एज ए टीचर हम अपनी भी देखें तो टीचर्स की भी बहुत सारी जिम्मेदारियां बढ़ी हुई हैं, स्पेशली जो आज के समय है इसमें अगर देखें, और बच्चे हमारे कनेक्ट नहीं हो पाते, तो ये एक लंबी स्थिति है। तो साथियों, इस परिस्थिति में हम लोग क्या करें, किस तरह से बच्चे के तक पहुंचे, और कैसे हम जो बच्चों की राइट टू एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, कैसे हम उसको एजुकेशन दे पाए। तो अगर कोई साथी भले चैट के माध्यम से कुछ शेयरिंग करें कि एट प्रेजेंट हम कैसे बच्चों के साथ कनेक्ट हों, और कैसे बच्चे को हम क्वालिटी एजुकेशन दे पाए, कुछ टेक्निक्स या कुछ पेडागोजी शेयरिंग करें, तो वो अच्छा रहेगा हम सभी के लिए। कोई साथी अगर ऑडियबल है तो वॉइस ऑन करके बोले, अदरवाइज चैट बॉक्स में भी लिख सकते हैं। हेलो, क्या मेरी आवाज आ पा रही है?
जी संदीप सर, आ रही है।
जी जी जी। तो ठीक है साथियों, फिर मैं इसको बता देता हूं। जो हम अगर बात करें, प्रोविजंस तो है राइट टू एजुकेशन में, एडमिशन हो गया, क्लासरूम में आ गया, फिजिकल फैसिलिटी मिल गई है, हमें बच्चे को किसी भी तरह का हरेसमेंट नहीं करना, ये तमाम चीजें हैं, सूचनाएं हैं, सब राइट टू एजुकेशन। बट असली स्थिति है कि हम एज ए टीचर कैसे बच्चे को हम सही मायने में एजुकेशन दे पाए। तो अगर हम वर्तमान की जो स्थितियां है कोविड पीरियड में देखें, तो सबसे पहली बात यह कि हम बच्चे को कैसे स्ट्रेस फ्री करें। क्योंकि अगर बच्चा स्ट्रेस में है, बच्चा स्ट्रेस, तो हम उसके लिए बच्चों के साथ कनेक्ट कनेक्ट करने के डिफरेंट तरीके हो सकते हैं। हम आजकल मोबाइल से क्लास हो रही है, उसमें बहुत सारे बच्चे जुड़ पाते हैं, काफी बच्चे नहीं भी जुड़ पाते हैं, तो तमाम तरह की समस्याएं हम फेस कर रहे हैं। तो साथियों, हम कहीं ना कहीं जो ग्रुप ट्यूटोरिंग की बात करते हैं, तो ऐसे भी किया जा सकता है कि बच्चे के कई छोटे छोटे ग्रुप, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनाए जा सकते हैं। व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बना के हम जो असाइनमेंट दे रहे हैं, ऐसा भी ऑब्जर्वेशन में आता है कि बच्चे क्लास में तो नहीं जुड़ पाते, लेकिन जब हम उनको असाइनमेंट देते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं बच्चे उसको आपस में शेयरिंग करके या जो भी तरीका अपनाते हैं, तो वर्कशीट तो मिल जाती है कहीं ना कहीं। लेकिन बच्चे बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं जो हमारी क्लासों में नहीं जुड़ते। तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं हम जो क्वालिटी एजुकेशन की बात कर पा रहे हैं, तो क्वालिटी तो बहुत दूर की बात रहेगी दोस्तों। अभी अगर बात करें प्रेजेंट पीरियड में, तो पहले हम कहीं ना कहीं बच्चे को अपने साथ कनेक्ट कर पाए और विद्यालय सिस्टम से अभी जोड़ पाए। तो कहीं ऐसा ना हो बच्चा वर्तमान परिस्थितियों में, इस तनाव के माहौल में वो शिक्षा से दूर हो जाए। तो इसके लिए हम बच्चे से डिफरेंट टेक्निक यूज करके कनेक्ट बनाए, और उसके बाद छोटे छोटे बच्चे का पार्टिसिपेशन हो, भले छोटे ग्रुप में हो, बच्चों के पास अगर जैसी स्थितियां हैं उस पर छोटी छोटी जिम्मेदारियां, ग्रुप फॉर्मेशन ऐसा बना के हम एक दूसरे के सहयोग से सपोर्टिव इन्वायरमेंट में बच्चे के साथ हम आगे बढ़े, और ऐसा प्रयास कर पाए कि कहीं ना कहीं बच्चा अपने आप को अकेला फील ना करे। अगर हम ऐसा कुछ करा पाते हैं तो ये बहुत छोटा स्टेप है हालांकि, लेकिन जो भी स्थितियां हैं हम इसमें थोड़ा सुधार कर सकते हैं। यस, ट्राई टू कनेक्ट स्टूडेंट एज मच एज पॉसिबल एंड ट्राई टू इंटरेक्ट विद देम। यस, ये मैसेज में भी लिखा है। ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि हम किसी भी तरह करके बच्चे के साथ कनेक्ट होने का प्रयास करें, और साथ ही साथ जिस तरह का हम आजकल बच्चों को असाइनमेंट दे रहे हैं या वर्क दे रहे हैं, चूंकि दोनों संभावना है कि बच्चा कहीं ना कहीं कॉपी भी करता है एक दूसरे से चीज, मतलब एक दूसरे का कॉपी करके भी बच्चे भेज देते हैं, हमें उसका भी ध्यान रखना है। तो जो भी हम बच्चों को वर्क दे रहे हैं वो इस तरह का दें कि जो उसकी अपनी परिवार, फैमिली से जुड़ा हुआ हो। ऐसा कुछ प्रयास करें कि वो ऑथेंटिक वर्क दे पाए, कुछ जितना भी संभव हो सके, कुछ छोटी छोटी ऑडियो क्लिप मंगा लें, वीडियो मंगा लें। लेकिन फिर एक दूसरी समस्या हो जाती है कि इतनी चीजों को हम कैसे इवेलुएट करेंगे एज ए टीचर। तो हम ये भी टेक्निक यूज कर सकते हैं कि छोटे छोटे बच्चों को ग्रुप बना दे, जो बच्चा थोड़ा ठीक है, 8 8 10 10 बच्चों के, तो बच्चे आपस में एक दूसरे की क्रॉस चेकिंग भी करा सकते हैं, उनसे भी हम जो डाटा है वो उसमें कलेक्ट करा सकते हैं। तो इस तरह से हम कुछ कुछ टेक्निक यूज करके प्रयास करें कि जो बच्चे का अधिकार है शिक्षा का, वो उससे वंचित ना हो। बच्चा सोसाइटी के किसी भी उससे बिलोंग करता है, वो इकोनॉमिकल वीकर सेक्शन है, डिसेबल है, हमारे सामान्य बच्चे हैं, तो सभी बच्चे को हम उत्साहित करें, मोटिवेट करें। बड़ी बात तो यह है कि बच्चे का उत्साह कम नहीं होना चाहिए, उसको मोटिवेट करें, क्योंकि अगर वो लर्निंग चाहता है तो कहीं ना कहीं वो पॉसिबल हो पाएगी। तो साथियों, चूंकि हमारा समय भी सीमित है, तो मैं चाहूंगा कि कोई साथी कुछ फीडबैक या क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता है तो वो पूछ ले, फिर मैं उस पर रेस्पॉन्ड करूंगा। कोई साथी अगर कोई क्वेरी है किसी की, तो वो अपना सवाल पूछ सकता है चैट बॉक्स के माध्यम से भी, या फिर ऑडियो के माध्यम से भी। हेलो। हाँ मैम।
नमस्कार।
जी जी सर।
मैं सुबेदार राजौर बोल रहा हूँ, शक्ति नगर नंबर 19 स्कूल से।
जी जी बोलिए सर।
सर, मेरा ये सवाल है कि जैसे हमारे यहाँ ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है स्ट्रेंथ की, तो बच्चे एक क्लास में 62, 65, 70 इतने रहते हैं।
जी
तो ऐसी कंडीशन में बच्चों को कंट्रोल में जैसे करना है, तो उसके लिए कोई स्ट्रेटजी हो या उसमें कोई पॉलिसी हो जो कि बच्चों को अच्छे ढंग से ट्रीट किया जा सके, क्योंकि पॉसिबल नहीं है 70 बच्चों को 40 मिनट में सबको वर्क दे देना, सबको सबका चेक करना। तो इस चीज को
जी जी
कैसे
जी
पॉसिबल बनाया, ये क्या मतलब क्या हो सकता है इसके लिए?
जी जी जी। तो साथियों बहुत अच्छा और रिलेवेंट सवाल है आपका। तो सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि आपने बिल्कुल व्यवहारिक क्वेश्चन रखने का प्रयास किया। तो देखो, जब हमारी ऑफलाइन क्लास होती है तो वहां पर हम पीयर ट्यूटोरिंग करा लेते हैं बच्चों का ना, आपस में छोटे छोटे बच्चों का समूह बना लेते हैं और उस तरह से कुछ करने का प्रयास करते हैं। तो एट प्रेजेंट हम इस तरह से कर सकते हैं, चूंकि हम लोग भी क्लास लेते हैं, हमारे यहाँ भी इस तरह की प्रॉब्लम है। तो हमने तो कुछ ऐसा किया है साथियों कि जैसे कि हमें पता होता है कि ये बच्चा थोड़ा ठीक है, दूसरे बच्चे ठीक है, तो छोटे छोटे ग्रुप बना दिए, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनवा दिए उन बच्चों के। और चूंकि बच्चे आपस में भी एक दूसरे सीखते हैं, समझते हैं, और सारा काम टीचर कर पाए तो जो व्यवहारिक नहीं है, वो 60-70 अगर बच्चे हैं तो सब बच्चों का वर्क देना और सबको उस तरह से चेक कर पाना, ये थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिसेबल सा नहीं लगता। तो हमने तो ऐसा किया है कि हम छोटे 8-10 बच्चों ग्रुप बना दिए और वो वर्क करने के बाद पहले उस ग्रुप में शेयरिंग करते हैं। तो उन बच्चों से पहले हम क्वेश्चन जो बनाते हैं, जो वो भी कुछ इस तरह के बनाते हैं कि बच्चे उसको ऑब्जेक्टिवली चेक कर पाए, कहीं उसमें बहुत पार्टी वाली स्थिति ना हो, हम से स्टूडेंट भी उसको चेक कर पाए। तो हम बच्चों से भी उसको क्रॉस चेक करके और फाइनली इसको जो बेहतर वाले होते हैं उसको हम अपने पास बुला सकते हैं कि हाँ यार इसमें से ही बेहतर है। और इन पारदर्शिता लाने के लिए हम बच्चों को क्रॉस के लिए भी कि भाई तुम भी चेक कर लो, ऐसा ना हो कि तुम ऐसा लगे मेरे साथ पार्शियलिटी कर दी या गलत चेक कर दिया। तो ग्रुप में शेयरिंग कर देते हैं, तो बच्चे आपस में उसको क्रॉस चेक भी कर लेते हैं। तो इस तरह का कुछ इनोवेटिव सोच सकते हैं साथियों। कोई ऐसा रेडीमेड सॉल्यूशन तो अभी नहीं है किसी के पास भी, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम्स काफी हैं, बट फिर भी जो भी हमें थोड़ा बहुत लगता है वो प्रयास इसमें किए जा सकते हैं।
थैंक यू सर।
जी। हेलो, एनी अदर पार्टिसिपेंट? चंचल मैम?
जी सर।
हेलो।
हाँ जी सर, थैंक यू सर।
हाँ,
आपने
जी जी
बहुत
मैम।
अच्छा से आपने बहुत अच्छे से डिटेल में हमें आरटी एक्ट समझाया, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द हिस्ट्री, कि कैसे हिस्ट्री से लेकर वो आज तक की जो है शेप में आया और इसमें क्या प्रोविजंस हैं। तो बहुत अच्छा सेशन रहा ये हमारा, और मुझे लगता है कि सभी को आरटी का जो है, जो एक एसेंस है आरटी का, कि किस लिए आरटी जरूरत है, वो बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ में आ गया था। थैंक यू संदीप सर।
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू, और सभी साथियों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। तो
जी
अभी
थैंक यू मैम,
हमारा जो
थैंक
है,
यू वेरी मच सर।
हम एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेते हैं और उस 5 मिनट के बाद हम जो है फिर से ज्वाइन करेंगे। और अब हमारा नेक्स्ट सेशन जो है वो पोक्सको एक्ट पे रहेगा। मैम प्रियंका जी हैं हमारे साथ, वो हमारा सेशन स्टार्ट करेंगी। तो एक क्विक छोटा सा बिल्कुल स्मॉल 5 मिनट्स के ब्रेक के बाद हम मिलते हैं।
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम, आई हैव अ क्वेरी। चंचल मैम,
मैम प्लीज।
मैम एक्चुअली जब हम फीडबैक फॉर्म फिल करते हैं तो रिसोर्स पर्सन का नाम तो आता है बट टॉपिक नहीं आता। तो कोई जरूरी तो नहीं है ना, उसमें टॉपिक तो नहीं आ रहा मेरे वाले में।
मैम एक्चुअली मैंने खोलकर नहीं देखा, क्या सभी के साथ यही है कि रिसोर्स पर्सन का नाम आता है, टॉपिक नहीं आता?
मैम नहीं आता।
यस मैम, नहीं आता।
हाँ जी मैम, टॉपिक नहीं आता।
जी
मैम तो फिर रिसोर्स पर्सन के नाम से टॉपिक क्लियर हो जाएगा शायद, क्योंकि टाइम टेबल साथ में जाएगा।
यस मैम, देयर वाज नो ऑप्शन फॉर टॉपिक।
नहीं, सेशन वाइज तो होता है मैम, फर्स्ट सेकंड
हाँ
थर्ड
जी,
फोर्थ।
हाँ जी।
हाँ जी,
हाँ,
हाँ
वो
जी।
सेशन
ओके,
वाइज
तो
होता
फिर
है
हम
रिसोर्स
सेशन
पर्सन
वाइज
का।
देंगे तो वो टाइम टेबल एक्चुअली फिक्स्ड है, वहीं से ही बनकर आया है, तो मुझे लगता है इसलिए अकॉर्डिंगली आ सकते हैं।
ठीक है मैम, थैंक
जी
यू। थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स।
थैंक यू।
7
So, welcome back. Now, today we have with us Miss Priyanka Bajaj, ma'am. And ma'am, welcome to our induction program. And she will be dealing on POXO Act, that is the protection of child against sexual offense. Am I right, ma'am? So, over to you, ma'am. You can start your session. Ma'am, I'm audible to you? Priyanka, ma'am? Ma'am, unmute yourself first. Ma'am, just click on the request that I have sent you.
Okay, am I audible to everyone here?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I am very new to Cisco WebEx. I have never used this platform for my online sessions. So probably I was finding it a little difficult to access. Okay, so good evening to everyone out here. And I am interacting with the TGT group of English teachers. And this is my first interactive session with all of you, if I'm not wrong. I've been doing sessions with different diets and I've been interacting with PGT economics, and I've been also interacting with the teachers, postgraduate teachers, as well as PRTs and TGTs. So today we are going to talk about POXO, and a lot of people mispronounce it as POSCO, but it is first of all not POSCO, it is POXO. It is POCSO, and the full form of this is Protection of Children Against Sexual Offences. Now, this was the act which came into existence in 2012, and it has recently got amended as well. And a lot of variables of this act has been changed. So if I talk about POXO Act, is my PowerPoint presentation visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So POXO Act, since we're talking about sexual offenses, there are some classification to POXO Act. Now, sexual offense or sexual intent can be in form of touch as well as non-touch. So when I'm talking about touch, specifically, this act deals with touching of non-private parts as well as private parts of the children. Now, when we talk about non-touch could be in the form of a song, a comment, a remark, a joke, or stalking. Stalking means following someone with the intent to sexually abuse or sexually harm. Then, before we get into the detail of the act, I would like to inform and update all of you about some of the facts that are related to sexual abuse of children. Now, this is something which is really worrisome for all of us. If you see at the data, 53.22%, so around 55% of children reported having faced one or more forms of sexual abuse. And states like Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, and Delhi reported the highest percentage of sexual abuse among both boys and girls, including 21.90 child respondents reported facing severe forms of sexual abuse and about 50% other forms of sexual abuse. So when I'm saying severe forms of sexual abuse, that might also include, death of the child or injury of any part of the body. Now, 50% abuses are persons known to the child. So many times, it could be a parent, it could be a relative, uncle, aunt, or anyone. So these were some facts which I wanted to bring light towards. Now, I would like to talk about, first of all, what is sexual abuse. Now, under this particular act, when I'm saying POXO is an act, under this, act of protection of children against sexual offenses, a person, if commits penetrative sexual assault, if he or she penetrates his private organ into the private organ of the child or mouth of the child, or makes a child do the same thing, or inserts any object into the child's body or apply his mouth to the child's body parts. Now, there is something called penetrative sexual assault, and there is something also known as sexual assault, which includes actions of a person who touches the private area of the child with sexual intent without penetration. Now here, penetration is not happening, but the person is touching the private areas of the child. Now there is a third type of sexual assault, which is known as aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Now, what is aggravated? There is this word added to penetrative sexual assault. Aggravated means if the crime is committed by any police officer or someone in the armed forces, or a public servant. Now, it also covers relative of the child. It also, if the assault, injures the sexual organs of the child, or the child becomes pregnant. Now, this particular bill adds two more grounds. First of all, assault resulting in the death of the child. So, in case if the child, dies, in most of the cases where the child, dies, the incident gets unnoticeable, but the law is trying to also cover have very strict grounds for these scenarios as well. Now, assault committed during a natural calamity. So if any kind of natural calamities happen, now why natural calamities? Because the data says, the Ministry of Women and Child Development cites the reports of rapes of young girls in the aftermath of Kedarnath floods. So it has been noticed, it has been recorded that during natural calamities like floods or earthquakes, such kind of crimes usually take place. So the different types of sexual abuses come under or are covered under POCSO Act. Now, when we talk about the punishment for this act, everybody, we need to know that all offenses under POCSO Act are cognizable. All offenses under POCSO Act are cognizable and are non-bailable. Okay, so the offenders will definitely get punishment, and these offenses are non-bailable. There is no bail issue for the same. Now, there are two organizations which are held responsible for from A to the Z of the entire procedure. First is NCPCR, that is National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and the other one is SCPCR, that is State Commissions for Protection of Child Rights. Now, these are the two agencies which monitor each and everything of POCSO. Okay, now when we talk about sexual assault, it also include pornography. Okay, so there is a punishment for offense of pornography as well if the children are being used for pornographic purposes. Now, if I talk about pornography, the offenses can be segregated into use of child for pornographic purposes. So if a child is used for any kind of pornographic purposes, let's say the pictures have been clicked, or the videos have been made, or the memes have been created of the child, and the child is being blackmailed, or the videos are being shared with the public, the punishment is minimum for 5 years. The next is if use of child for pornographic purposes resulting in aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Now, if the child is used for pornographic purpose and it has resulted, the pornographic purpose has also been resulted in aggravated penetrative sexual assault, there is minimum punishment for 20 years, maximum life imprisonment or death penalty. The next one is if the child is used for pornographic purposes, which also results in sexual assault with the child, the bill says, the act says that the minimum punishment is for 3 years and maximum punishment is for 5 years. Am I audible to everyone here?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, everybody, this was about the act. Now, I have come down to something which is extremely important for we as teachers to know, and I will be talking about this in detail. Now, as a teacher, what I need to do? as a teacher, why I need to know about POXO Act. This is very important for me. Now, I've been taking trainings for the teachers as well on POXO. A lot of teachers say what we need to do about it, why it's relevant to us. Firstly, because the act is made for children. Okay, remember, it is for the children below 18 years of age. So we as teachers, we need to first of all observe some kind of warning signs in the children, which could be verbal, which could be non-verbal. I as a counselor, when I work with children, I interact with children, and they actually come and confess to me about everything.
Not audible, ma'am.
Priyanka ma'am? Priyanka ma'am? Actually, there might be some problem from ma'am's side. It might be related to some internet or the technology related issue. So let me talk to her. Then she'll resume within a minute or two.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Now you are.
And is my PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Okay. I think there was some problem in between. I kept asking. Okay, so why I, as a teacher, I need to know about this act is first of all because this act is specifically related to children. Any individual who is below 18 years of age. As a teacher, I should and I ought to know about it. So, what as a teacher I should do? First of all, number one, any kind of warning signs, which could be verbal, which could be non-verbal, which could be in form of a letter, or which could be in form of a phone call or a message or anything. If a child and comes and confesses to you about something, you need to take an action. Now, if another warning sign in the children that you need to observe is if you find any child is suddenly withdrawn, an active child, a participative child in the class who is suddenly withdrawn, is lacking social skills, having some kind of emotional problems, or is overreacting in different situations or with peers, or has shared something with his classmate, friend, or peer, you must, and if it comes in notice to you, you must report it further. I will also be talking about how to report and whom to report later in my section. Then another thing is if a child misses the classes and the child had been regular earlier, you have all the rights to inquire. If a child has shared with you in the form of writing in the notebook, a lot many times children do not say because they feel if something like this has happened, imagine with the child would definitely start lacking self-confidence and would also get emotionally disturbed. So in number of instances I've seen teachers coming and telling me that children have written it in the notebook, and while checking the notebook they notice that something like that has been confessed by the child. So if something like this comes into your notice, you it's your right and it is your responsibility to further report it to the higher authorities. Now there are some commonly asked questions related to POXO, and where I would also be talking about how to do the reporting for POXO. Now, first of all, a commonly asked questions is that are boys protected under POXO Act? So the answer is both boys and girls under the age of 18 are protected under POXO Act. So this act is not specifically meant for girls. Boys and girls both are covered, or they are under the covered or protected under the POXO Act. Is POXO a mandatory reporting law? Yes. Now we have come down to mandatory reporting. Now, if something has come into your notice, you have to report it. Your first step should be reporting it to the head of the organization. Okay, so you can report it to the school principal, or you can report it to the school vice principal or the headmistress. And if you feel that no action has been taken at that level, you have all the rights, and it's your responsibility to report it to the police or child welfare commission. Now, what is mandatory reporting? It means if you do not report the incident, it will amount to prosecution. Okay. Yes. Can I report an incident anonymously? Everything under POXO Act is kept as a confidential information. So from reporting to the proceedings of the act would be in camera. Okay, so reporting would be done secretly, and all the information will be kept confidential by the police and by Child Welfare Commission, and the proceedings, all the proceedings of the case will be kept completely confidential. In fact, the proceedings which are held in the court will also be in camera, and it will not be shown to the public. So you don't have to worry about something like that. Your name will come anywhere, or you can be in any kind of trouble. So
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, myself Shyam Singh, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
ये जैसे पाक्सो एक्ट का जो इवेंट, इसमें मैं कल से शास्त्री सर का जो मैंने लेक्चर सुना, देन फिर मुझे थोड़ा सा एक क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, उसको क्लेरिफाई करिए आप। बट थोड़ा सा टेंशन हो रही है इसके बारे में, कल से सोच रहा हूँ, उसका रिजल्ट नहीं मिल रहा। मैम जैसे उन्होंने जेंडर पर काम बात बताई, तो उन्होंने कहा जैसे क्या है कि हम देखने को मिल रहा है प्रेजेंट टाइम में कि लड़की लड़का एक साथ क्लास में तो बैठ रहे हैं, लेकिन वहां भी डिफरेंट कर दे रहे हैं, अलग अलग सेग्रीगेट कर रहे हैं, अलगाववाद वहां भी हो रहा है। तो देन हम कैसे करें? एक तरफ तो क्या है कि वो कह रहे हैं कि एक साथ आप बैठाइए ताकि जेंडर वहां पे शो ना हो। अगर हम वो करते हैं तो यस मैम, तो फिर हमें क्या हो रहा है कि हमें वो बीएड वाला है कि स्टेनहाल ने कहा था कि वो जो टाइम पीरियड है किशोरावस्था का, वो तूफान और संघर्ष की अवस्था है। अगर हम उसको ध्यान दे रहे हैं तो फिर हम उनको सेग्रीगेट कर रहे हैं। जो उनका कहा हुआ स्टेटमेंट है वो माइंड में आ जा रहा है। देन फिर हम क्या कर रहे हैं, इधर देख रहे हैं तो वो कुछ सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट या फिर पॉक्सो का वहां पर ये केस आ रहा है, यानी आईपीसी की जो धाराएं कह रही हैं कि इस पर ऐसे केस वैसे केस। तो एज ए टीचर हम क्लास में इसको किस तरह से मैनेज करें, यानी हम सेग्रीगेट भी ना करें, वहां पर जेंडर को लेकर भेदभाव नहीं रहे हमारे मन में, क्लास में वो चीजें ना शो हो, और जैसे क्लास में वही क्लास भी आप ऐसे करते हो, असेंबली में बच्चे आते हैं प्रेयर करने तो वहां भी अलग अलग बैठते हैं, अलग अलग ग्रुप बनाते हैं। तो अगर हम उनको मिक्सअप कर रहे हैं तो फिर वो चीजें याद आ रही हैं कि जो टाइम बच्चों की एज है इस फैक्टर में उस तरह की चीजें होती हैं। अगर वो होती हैं तो फिर हमें इधर जो आईपीसी की जो जितने भी धाराएं हैं, एक्ट हैं बने हुए, चाहे पॉक्सो को लेके या फिर 3 समथिंग दैट सारी एक्ट हैं, तो इनको कैसे हम क्लास में मैनेज करें, थोड़ा सा क्लेरिफाई करिए अगर कर सकते।
जी, so Shyam sir, as far as I have understood your question, आप बात कर रहे हैं जेंडर इक्वालिटी की। जब हम एक बात करते हैं कि बच्चे कोएड स्कूल में जा रहे हैं, तो हमारा पूरा एक हक बनता है और उनका भी अधिकार बनता है कि हम उन्हें दोनों जेंडर्स के इमोशनल, सोशल, बिहेवियरल, साइकोलॉजिकल और फिजिकल एस्पेक्ट से रूबरू करवाएं। हमें हमें उन्हें हमें उन्हें किसी भी एस्पेक्ट से पीछे नहीं रखना है, बिकॉज सबसे पहले तो वो स्कूल के बाद कॉलेज में जाएंगे, कॉलेज भी कोएड होगा, उसके बाद वो ऑफिस में काम करेंगे, चाहे वो गवर्नमेंट जॉब करें या प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जॉब कर रहे हैं, हर जगह को एजुकेशन, हर जगह दोनों जेंडर्स होते हैं और उन्हें जो स्किल्स हम उनके स्कूल में डेवलप करेंगे वही स्किल्स वो आगे जाके भी उनके काम आएंगे। जब हम बात करते हैं इन चीजों की तो ये एक्ट से बहुत ही परे हैं, राइट। अगर हम बच्चों को एक दूसरे जेंडर के लिए इमोशनल अवेयरनेस बढ़ाते हैं, हम लोग गुड टच बैड टच की बात केजी और नर्सरी से करना क्यों शुरू कर देते हैं, ताकि हम बच्चों के अंदर वो जागरूकता लेकर आए, हम बच्चों को बताएं कि एक जेंडर दूसरे जेंडर से डिफरेंट कैसे है, हम बच्चों को बताएं जेंडर और सेक्स दो टर्म्स डिफरेंट कैसे होती हैं। हम बच्चों को ये बताना चाहते हैं कि एक मेल और एक फीमेल को देखने का नजरिया क्या होता है, उनके इमोशनल एस्पेक्ट्स कैसे डिफरेंट होते हैं, ताकि वो घर में, स्पेशली बॉयज, ताकि घर में अपनी मदर्स, अपनी सिस्टर्स को तो रिस्पेक्ट करें, लेकिन अपनी क्लासमेट्स के लिए भी वो रिस्पेक्ट लेकर आए। तो हमें बच्चों को किसी भी तरह अवेयर करना है, तो आप क्लास में ज्यादा से ज्यादा बात करें उनसे, उनको अवेयरनेस, जागरूकता उनके दिमाग में लेकर आए कि दोनों जेंडर्स में इक्वालिटी है। और आजकल जो ये क्राइम फैलता जा रहा है सेक्सुअल अब्यूज का, अगर वो किसी क्राइम से रूबरू होते हैं या उनको किसी क्राइम के बारे में पता चलता है, तो वो कैसे उसके अगेंस्ट स्टेप ले सकते हैं। सो अगर हमारा एज टीचर्स एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी और एक हक बनता है कि हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा जागरूकता बच्चों के मन में पैदा करें। और ये क्राइम्स, जहां तक क्राइम की बात आती है और जहां तक आप ये बात कर रहे हैं कि किशोर अवस्था बहुत ही एक सेंसिटिव स्टेज होती है, एडोलेसेंट इज अ वेरी सेंसिटिव स्टेज, बट how to deal with that sensitive stage is another it's kind of a creative step that can be taken by the teacher, because I have seen teachers talking about good touch, about bad touch, about sexual maturity in their classes. In fact, हम as counselors कितने workshops और कितने sessions करते हैं sexual adolescent के ऊपर, pre-adolescent stage पे. So it's very important to increase more and more awareness in the class. So talk to your children about, and let them sit together. Let them also have an idea. Let them know like all the actions that they would be taking at this stage will have consequences later, right? And tell them about, share the data with them. Tell them about POCSO Act. उतना बताएं जितना कि उनको जानना चाहिए इस एक्ट के बारे में, बट जितनी अवेयरनेस, जितनी जागरूकता आप उनके दिमाग में बढ़ाएंगे, बिकॉज उनको घर में ऐसी उनके घर में ऐसी बातें नहीं हो रही होंगी, तो हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा जागरूकता बढ़ा सकते हैं।
थैंक यू मैम।
या सो एनोनिमसली रिपोर्टिंग की जा सकती है इस पॉक्सो एक्ट के अंडर इंसिडेंट की। द नेक्स्ट इज, जो कि बहुत कॉमन क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है, I suspect someone in my school has intentions of abusing a child or is getting too close to a child. As a teacher, if you suspect that somebody is in your school or in your class, it could be a bus driver, it could be on, it could be anybody, or it could be a male teacher, or as a male teacher you have seen a female teacher is getting close to a child or has some kind of intentions of abusing the child, and you're suspecting that, kindly report the incident, or kindly report it to the head of the organization so that incident does not take place. So you can actually stop the incident to take place. The next question which usually comes is, I am a school teacher. A child tells me that they are being abused at home. What should I do? So if a child comes and shares with you that my uncle has, tried sexually abusing me, or my father has tried sexually abusing me, or if a child says that, in the park he has been, meeting a stranger or somebody, you have to first of all get in touch with the parents. You have to speak to the parents, call up the parents, or write a diary note to the parents and ask the parents, share with the parents, because so many times children don't even share with their parents. They are scared. They get scared. As I already said, they are mentioned that their confidence also, shackles. So you have to talk to the parents in this situation, and you have to also report it to the simultaneously you have to report it to the head of the school, so the school principal, or you can also reach out to police station or child welfare commission. These are the common questions which are asked as far as school and POXO is concerned. Now, I would like to also share here that there is something called POXO e-box. Now you feel that some child has come and shared something with you. You can, search for POXO e-box on the Google, and you will be able to get the address of it, and you can actually write in the POXO e-box. You can also contact this helpline. And there are some pictures I would like to show, because generally we feel that sexual abuse takes place at some specific places, but they can actually take place anywhere. So it can take place in a playground, at a shop, roadside, by a stranger. As you can see in the picture as well, it could be a school, or the child going to the tuition or a coaching center. Now this can also be in the form of internet, as I mentioned earlier, in form of pornography, where the child is being forced for getting his or her sexual pictures clicked. Yes, so it could be in form of internet and phone. It could be done by a family member or a relative or an attendant or a tuition teacher coming to the home and taking the class. So it can be done by anyone. It can be done in bus, van, school bus or a school van, or it can be done in an activity class bus or a van. Basically any transport which is being used by the child. Children can also get blackmailed for the same. Let's say, in form of a pornographic, when we talk about pornography, in form of a picture, message, or a mail, the blackmail can also take place. Now, this is the child helpline number 1098. We all are aware of it. Children are supposed to tell, they're supposed to immediately tell to the parent, to the teacher, grandparents, school counselor, or any other trusted grown-up. So when we do workshops on good touch, bad touch, and sexual maturity, we tell the children, if they experience something like this, that someone has sexual intentions for them or has touched them with sexual intent, they are supposed to immediately report it to the nearest trusted adult or trusted grown-up. Lastly, everyone, I would like to mention here that the safety of children shall be the highest law that we all need to follow, because children are the future. They are the interface of our nation. Their safety should be the highest law. And as teachers, please always remember that every child in your class is someone's whole world, because we always have we give everything for our own children, but we generally and sometimes forget that each child in our class who is studying in our class is someone's world too. So always remember this. Any questions? I can take up questions now. Ma'am, any questions? I can take up questions if there are any.
Ma'am, nobody is asking question. Can you please share few of your experiences in this field, because you are working in this field? So you share few of your experiences in this field.
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am. Priyanka, ma'am, I'm asking you.
Okay. So experience in terms of like I've been interacting with teachers and they usually are very worried. And the primary point for worrying is that what if my name comes here? And because it is an act, it is a law. So teachers generally get worried there. And even as a human being, I would also get worried that a child has come to me, because I have been working as a school counselor as well. And my job, I feel, is sometimes involves a legal action also, because so many times children come to me and they share emotional imbalances happening with them, also share their relationship journey, and sometimes they also share that they want to self harm themselves. So my job at so many points involve the legal actions as well. But as a teacher or as an educationist, I have my responsibility to take an action for it. This is what is very important for you as teachers to know. And teachers also share with me that how how to go forward if a child comes and shares something with them. So as I already mentioned that mandatory reporting is essential. We have to mandatory report the incident to the higher authorities. And also, yeah, this is what my experiences are. Generally, I get these common questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
If anybody has any questions, can please ask me.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. This is Suruchi.
Yes, yes, please.
Ma'am, I would like to ask, how should we prepare our children? As in, they are not that mentally grown up to tell about each and everything. How should we prepare them for this so that they can avoid some mishappening in with them and in and around? How should we take up?
Okay.
Because class
So
6 student,
if
we
you
cannot explain. Yeah, please.
yeah. So if you're specifically talking about the children who are let's say 10 and plus, we can start talking about emotional well-being. We can talk to them about bodily changes that are taking place. We can take a separate session for girls and talk to them about bodily changes that are taking place in themselves. Also, we can take a separate session for boys. Like in most of the schools I have seen, for girls, such sessions are taken by school counselors, and for boys, such sessions are also taken by school counselors or school doctors. So we can take more and more sessions, talk to them again about the well-being, emotional well-being, mental and psychological well-being, mental and psychological and emotional aspects associated with physical changes of a child. So age appropriate counseling, age appropriate physical changes counseling is required at this stage. You can also share some stories with them. You can also show them some videos, like if you want, I can mention here that there are some authentic YouTube videos available. Like there is one with the name of Komal. So if you show them such videos, it will create an awareness among them to think about the topic, to think about the matter, and also in case they have seen or experienced it is happening with someone else, they can come and share with you. So you need to talk more and more about the children, like in case you have a substitution period, or in case you have a free period with them, you are put on substitution, or you have any GK general knowledge class or life skills or soft skills class. After talking to them about skills, life skills, what life skills are, you can also start talking to them about adolescent issues. You can start sharing with the girls about what are the hormonal changes that they might experience after the age of 10, 12. And you can also share with the boys what are the changes, physical and growing up changes that they would be observing and experiencing in themselves. You can also talk to them about, you can also tell your probably your colleague who's taking science to talk to them about physical changes, and from there you can take up on the emotional changes. So more and more emotional and psychological awareness if you will create in children, more they will understand this topic, because this topic has to be understood in more emotional way.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Ma'am, my another concern is like for 10 plus children, we can make them understand and show the videos and all. But for under 10 students who are
Yes.
like more vulnerable, they don't even know the pros and cons of the situation. They be traveling in school buses or so. Please guide how should we go about showing them the right way for under 10 students.
Okay, so
Children.
generally, yeah. So generally, we start taking good touch and bad touch classes and sessions with children who are under 10 or under. So we tell them about what is good touch in form of, in form of touch, and we also share with them what is a bad touch. We also tell them how someone with any kind of intentions, bad intentions, can touch you. We also have to make them. There is somebody not on mute. I have a lot of disturbance. Okay, so when I'm talking about children, creating awareness for the children who are below 10 years of age, we generally do sessions on good touch and bad touch, and bodily changes. Like when I'm talking about good touch and bad touch, we tell them about if somebody, touches you with any kind of bad intentions, how you can refrain yourself. What should be the first step that you need to take? You need to shout first. You need to then run, and then you need to reach to the safer place. So I've been doing a lot of sessions on good touch and bad touch for younger children and younger classes. So you can actually make a PowerPoint presentation and show them this particular video called Komal, which is actually issued by Welfare Commission only, which very beautifully portrays how a girl is sexually abused, or actually kind of sexually abused by a stranger. So yes, you can show a video. You can again talk to them in form of a good touch, bad touch, because using the term sexual offense or sexual maturity or sexual intentions, this might create kind of curiosity in younger children.
And
So
ma'am, it might create undue terror in their innocent
absolutely,
hearts, no?
absolutely. In primary classes, you cannot talk to them about sexual intentions, or it might create terror. It might also create unnecessarily curiosity in them to know more about it. So talk to them about good touch and bad touch. Talk to them about, they might, like I generally do. I generally do a session with girls on hormonal changes after their grade 4. So let's say from 10 to 12, right? So below 10, talk to them about good touch and bad touch. Also talk to them about bullying, because generally bullying issues also pertain at this stage. So take more age appropriate counseling sessions with them during the class.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was truly enlightening. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to thank Priyanka ma'am for taking such a wonderful session. Am I audible to ma'am?
Yes, yes,
Am
you're
I
audible.
audible?
Yes,
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 yes.
you're audible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It was
Thank you so
really
much.
a nice session, and I think all of us have got some understanding, and our doubts are clear about this particular act. And I think we, as a teacher, will be able to help our students in a better way now. Thank you very much, ma'am.
It was my pleasure to interact with such a huge group of TGT English teachers, and in fact, it was a wonderful opportunity given to me. So thank you so much, and I hope we continue, having such kind of more sessions. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, definitely, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a
Everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So see you tomorrow at 2. You may leave now. Thank you all.